afternoon, good evening to wherever you are across this beautiful world. I am your co-host, Cactus,
And I'm Fufu.
and welcome to the Megabyte podcast. Today we have let's go back to days of young, shall we?
I'm not ready for this because it's gonna make me feel old. But
Wait a minute. I got to put in my hearing aid. What'd you say? We're going to be discussing the cartoons of the 2000s. Now, okay, yeah, it's 2021. Yes, we know. But you rewind time a little bit back way back in 2000 and all that stuff. And you get some
can you
amazing
believe?
stuff.
Can you believe that was 21 years ago?
Wow. No. No, I
Like,
don't.
like the kids that were born in 2000 are turning 21 this year.
I know one guy in particular, who just turned 21.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's absolutely nuts how fast it just goes by so quickly. You know,
It
time.
does. And it doesn't seem like it's going by so quick until you get 21 years down the road and you look back and like, oh crap, where did the time go?
Right. So you think about, okay, so for example, like 21 years, I mean, like this month in particular has gone by so quick. For me
Right.
anyways. This month is gone by fairly quickly.
The whole
And
first half of the year has gone by quickly.
mhm,
And it seems like every year, January to July goes by super fast.
it
And then
does
August to December seem to like slowly
drag.
crawl.
Now, for somebody who receives snow every year in wintertime, it drags. Wintertime drags. It could get as cold. It could start getting cold here as early as October. No joke. I've seen it where in September it gets really cold. But that's the crazy thing. So let's start talking about the cartoons of the years 2000 plus. Let's go with this, man. Do you remember? It wasn't on that long, but you remember My Life as a Teenage Robot?
It was one of those shows that I watched all the time.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. Like it was obviously I'm not a robot, but it
Are you
was
sure?
I mean, I've
Am
been
I
told I'm an alien.
am I talking to the real Bunny Fufu?
Yes.
Take me to your later.
Anyway, so it followed XJ9 was her robot name. But
Right.
everyone called her Jenny.
That's right,
Now
Jenny. Yes.
now growing up, like I said, I related to the show
Uh
because being a female, obviously I wasn't quite in my teens yet.
right.
But some of the stuff they did on there, it was stuff that kids could relate to.
Right. And a lot of things people
Oh,
can relate
Fred,
to.
you know, I mean, she had her best friend
Mhm.
who was a human,
Right.
and his little brother, which was a human. So, I mean, I don't, I don't know why they were best friends with a robot, but
I don't know if it was even really told. Basically, she was a teenager who went through some awkward situations just like we all do. You know, I mean, our voices start sounding like this, you know.
oh
I
god,
I never thought that doing that voice or doing that particular voice could actually get you into acting in Hollywood, you know. I could sit here and
right?
do like this, you know. And Monsters Inc., for
Exactly.
example, on Disney Plus, they have two characters that have that voice like this, you know. But anyways, yeah, let's get back to Dragon Booster. I don't remember anything called Dragon Booster. Somebody had told me about this. I don't know.
Oh,
It
I
was
don't either.
mm,
But then again, that looks more like a
more.
male oriented.
Yeah, it kind of looks like anime that was just starting out
Yeah,
back then. You know, something
early
that
days of
was
anime.
yeah, it was something I don't recall seeing. I don't even know. I guess it was on the CBC network. So maybe that's why, because I never really
Like
watched that growing up. I remember it was Channel 9 on my TV channel, the CBC Broadcasting, Canadian
now,
Broadcasting Company.
a lot of the like the titles I don't remember,
Okay.
but seeing pictures and stuff, I'm like, I've seen that before.
Right. Yeah, me too. Yep. Yeah, like if you see a still of something, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember how they looked, or that's what I remembered looking at. As.
Hmm.
But you can't. Maybe you saw it on a commercial or something.
Yeah, like maybe on like Disney Channel or something. You know how they got commercials for the different shows and stuff. Maybe
Right.
you've seen
Right.
it there. But I
Mm-mm.
don't remember that one.
I
My
don't.
brothers might, but I don't.
I don't remember. Uh, there was another one too. It was Tracy McBean.
See, I don't like I was saying I don't remember the name, but looking at a picture, it looks familiar.
Right. I don't. To me, it looks almost, from what I've seen, it looks kind of like the Rugrats mixed in with mm, early Simpsons kind of looking cartoon. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how to describe that one. But let's talk about some of the other ones that like there was the bounty hamster. It kind of reminds me of Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
That was like a hamster that was fighting, obviously. But see, that was short lived. These are short lived cartoons. Maybe that's why I don't remember a lot of these. Class of 3000. I don't remember that one. Uh,
I mean, you got shows like The Bounty Hamster that was obviously not remembered by a lot of people, but some people do remember it. And then you got names like Cyber Chase.
right.
I loved me some Cyber Chase.
You like that, huh?
I did. I growing up I loved math.
Right.
I've always been pretty good at math. And it was a show that was based on math
Hmm.
and it had the whole traveling through like computers and stuff like
Okay.
that. So I I enjoyed it.
I
I was a
remember.
nerd when I was a kid.
Right.
That was one of my go-to shows.
I know 2 + 2 = 4386 divided by two, the circumference of a radius of a circle. I do remember the little bird though with those shoes, those sneakers. I do recall
Uh-huh.
that. I think it was, and he was the cool
Couldn't tell
one.
you their names,
If somebody said,
but
"Hey, yeah," I couldn't.
yeah, I couldn't tell you their names, but I remember the show, and I remember I loved it.
Codename Kids Next Door kind of remind me of Animaniacs, and it kind of remind me of Rugrats.
Okay, so Codename Kids Next Door was
Hmm.
always super wacky.
It was. It
They were
was.
always doing something.
It always. If you listen to the banter, if you remember how it was, it does sound a lot like Animaniacs in a sense because of the
Hmm.
the voices and stuff. And if you look very closely at the main protagonist or whatever you want to call him, the ball-headed dude, if you
Hmm.
if you recall,
Number one.
his head is shaped a lot like Stewie from Family
Yeah.
Guy,
Oh yeah.
which is
He
kind
was
of.
he was the original Stewie.
He
Like
was.
he was the one that always tried to like take over and
Mm,
do the crazy stuff.
right.
So, I'm thinking maybe they Seth MacFarlane pulled some inspiration from number one.
It was always kind of that odd show though. I couldn't. I watched it. I guess I've watched it more than a few times. If I can relate to that, I could relate to remembering that. Yakety Yak was another one too, on top of my head. I remember that with the talking yak, and they had a pineapple friend, and it was
Hmm.
kind of a hit or miss Nickelodeon days back then. Of course, 2000s. Here comes, SpongeBob was one of the top ones. So you have all
Yeah.
these other ones that are trying to compete with SpongeBob. SpongeBob to this day is still
Yeah.
dominating.
Oh yeah.
cartoon, cartoon world, if you say. And one I can really, really relate and remember was Teen Titans.
Yeah. Teen
Cyborg and Raven. Raven was always and Starfire were like my two favorites. They always made the
Yeah.
banter funny.
Oh yeah.
Teen Titans Go
Another one.
too, but that's later.
Another one that like is still pretty popular amongst a lot of kids and stuff,
Hmm.
even some adults, is Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh yeah, yeah. You cannot forget Yu-Gi-Oh. That was definitely
I
very
remember
animation, like
I
anime-ish.
remember every day me and my brothers would sit down. They would watch the show and we would have the cards and stuff from the show
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they
Yep.
would use me as practice just like they did with Halo. They would make me a deck of cards, tell
Uh-oh.
me how to play, and then completely destroy me until I got smart and I learned how to actually play.
It's time to do. Yeah, there's like
Yup.
that. Of course, reminds me of Pokemon. And then how
Uh-huh.
things like that, how that escalates. So that was like a snowball. It was a good
Mhm.
show. It was, but everybody seemed okay. This is just me outside the box. Have you ever noticed a lot of anime? The people seem very angry.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
pump your brakes a little bit, buddy, old boy. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they always have like anger issues, like anger management 101. They need it. They always like when they do a move or when they talk about somebody, it's like their voices and doing voice acting myself in the past. I know if you do stuff like that, after a while, your throat gets really sore and it
Yeah.
hurts. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. Ozzy and Drix too. I kind of remember that it was the dude's face always remind me of
Now,
he reminded me of a
with
pill.
yes, that's what he was supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
But Ozzy, everyone knows Osmosis Jones
Mm.
from the movie.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they just took that and made it into a TV show and added in the little pill guy. That's pretty much all I remember about that one.
Lawrence Fishburne was in that too, if I remember that movie. He did, and he's the same one that was in what was it? The Major. We were talking about that just last week about him being the Lawrence Fish. Oh, the Matrix. That's what it was. Yeah. By the way, just for shiggles and gets, that movie Osmosis Jones that was released in 2001. It had a budget of $70 million and it only took in a sad 14 million at the box office.
Yeah.
Ouch, a negative of 56 million in the hole,
Yeah, exactly.
which
Another
is oof.
another really good one that I watched a lot of
Mm-hmm.
was Danny Phantom.
That the eyes, those characters remind me of two things. It reminded me of the Powder Puff Girls, and also to their eyes was like Total Drama Rama or Total Drama
Island.
Island.
And it's
Yes.
not, I hate to correct you, but it's not Powder Puff Girls. It's Power Puff.
Did I say Powder Puff?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
That
Power
I'm
Puff.
sorry. I get very defensive over the Powerpuff Girls because that was my show growing up,
Tear Strong. Oof.
and I've even made my kids sit down and watch Powerpuff Girls with me.
Yeah, again, another the one character they always seem kind of angry, bitter. The monkey on there, he's
Mojo Jojo.
Mojo. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yep, he's a little out there, but it was okay. Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Now this one, if anyone knows me, this one is the closest one to my heart. But do you remember Invader Zim?
I do. I do. Yep.
This one makes me excited because one, I've watched all of Invader Zim multiple times. I was so sad when they took it off of Hulu. I've seen
Okay.
every episode. I've They tried to re bring it back on Netflix with Enter the Florpus, which was a movie, but it did not do Invader Zim any justice at all.
Right. It didn't do
It
any.
was it was very sad.
Hmm.
Now, with Invader Zim, they got away with a lot of stuff. If you think about that show, all
It
the things that they did and things that they said,
were very edgy. Yeah, it was
they
very
got away
edgy.
with a lot for a kids show. I mean, one of the episodes they got Sim and Dib got turned into bologna meat. Another episode, Zim thinks to be healthy you have to have more organs. So he goes around stealing people's organs.
Why not?
And my favorite will always and forever be Gur, the stupid robot dog.
Grr. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could see that. I've in fact you liked it so much. You, if I'm
I
not
got a tattoo
you
of
have a
Gur.
tattoo of, yes. Now that is commitment, ladies and gentlemen. If you get a tattoo
Okay.
of one of your favorite, tunes growing up.
Okay, it's got a double meaning, that tattoo.
Okay.
One, my love for the show, obviously.
Right.
Two, I modified him a little bit because I had a cocker spaniel. It was my
Oh.
best friend, and he had to be put down. So it's a double meaning tattoo, and that's why it's right over my heart.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, let's see. That's good. That's
So
good.
it my favorite character's close to my heart, and my pup's is close to my heart.
Uh, One thing I speak of, you were talking about the Power Puff Girls,
Yes.
Blossom Bubbles, Buttercup. We were just talking about. Were we not talking about this yesterday when we
On
were
GTA,
on
yes, we were
GTA
doing our
5?
heist,
Yes.
and I had blue hair. You have green and black hair, and
Right.
Dub has red hair.
Right.
So she turned around and she's like, "We're the Powerpuff Girls." And it just hit me like, oh, "You're right."
It was.
And and then your character yesterday had the perfect facial expression for
Yeah.
Buttercup because
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was all mean and scowly, and she's the hardcore tough one.
Yeah.
And then you got Bubbles who almost runs out and gets us caught in the first 10 seconds.
AKA
Me.
Dubs.
No, that was me.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention when we started,
Oh, that's
remember?
right. That's right. Yes. Okay.
And
Yes.
then I almost run out and get us caught immediately on hard
And hard mode. Yes. That
with
was
no
silly.
extra lives.
Powerpuff Girls, though, it was. I really didn't watch it too much, but
I
boy,
did.
it was huge on the Cartoon Network. It was huge. It was
They still
like,
have Powerpuff Girls to this
oh
day.
yeah, they're still
It's
out
not the
there.
same by any means, but they still have Powerpuff Girls.
It was like you have SpongeBob that's more catered to guys, and then you have Powerpuff Girls that are more and relatable to the lady audience, and it was just
Exactly.
overall kind of funny, and then of course you have Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I've always liked Blue. I always liked how he was,
Mhm.
but he was kind of a screamer, and
Yeah.
if you ever watched
That's what made him fun.
it was an interesting, because they still show that to this day on the networks. They do.
From what
And
I've heard and stuff,
mhm,
Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends was different forms, not just of friendship, but
right.
also like Blue was supposed to be like anxious, anxiety. So each of the different characters represented some kind of personality
Oh, okay. Yeah.
where you could have the sad ones, kind of like how they said that Pooh Bear or Winnie the Pooh characters had were Christopher Robin's mental. illnesses. They said the
Okay.
same thing about this show as well, that each of the characters represented some kind of different, like, mental illness.
Hmm.
How much of that I believe, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and rewatch it to see.
Right.
But I know that when I was younger, I didn't know anything about like mental illnesses and stuff like that. So it never clicked in my head. So who knows?
Who
Maybe
knows?
it is, maybe it isn't.
Well, if you think about the one character on there too, he was oh, what was his name? The tall basketball player. He was just like Abdul Jabbar and stuff like that. So the kind of relations like that. I think the writer, the main guy who wrote the show, kind of, I think it related to him. If you
Hmm.
notice, a lot of times, a lot of these people who write these shows, can relate to they put their personal lives into the shows, like
Hmm.
how as an example, well, look at like SpongeBob. I think it had Hillenberg, the one who he's gone now, but the main the person who wrote SpongeBob, he was a marine
Hmm.
biologist, and he
Yeah.
studied marine animals and stuff like that, and everything under the sea, and he kind of threw that into SpongeBob, and I don't know how he got a. Well, I do know how he got SpongeBob because there's sponges underneath the oceans and stuff, and
Yeah.
Patrick the Star, of course, and so it was kind of it made it really cool. Now, if you were
Hmm.
impossible, then you had to be Kim Possible.
What's the sitch?
Yeah, she was.
Now, I
Mm,
had that little tone as my ringtone at one point in time.
did you?
I did.
Wow.
I grew up loving Kim Possible. She was always the one doing all that spy stuff, but she was also, a high school student who had everyday problems and then still had to go and be a badass on the side.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. She always had that hidden. Yeah, she was all bubbly, all cool. They were in school or whatever it was, but she always still had that little bit of an attitude.
Yup.
I do remember that. I remember the theme, and I could hear it. I can't do the tones because DMCA, but I do
Right?
recall that. I remember that exactly. Samurai Jack was another one too. That was again kind of came and go quickly.
I mean, I I remember Samurai Jack. My brothers loved that show. So when it was their turn, that's what we would watch. And I mean, for what it was a great show. I mean, yeah, it obviously, it had violence and stuff, but
I mean,
it's a
what
samurai.
you ever heard of? Speaking of like, obviously you have like Animaniac. We keep going back to Animaniacs, but you mentioned earlier about how it was cutting edge on that one cartoon that was always kind of had edgy, kind of adulty, kind of like innuendo as well. You've
Mhm.
heard about Animaniacs, right? About
Oh yeah.
how very adult based the innuendos in that show was. And if you stop and
Mhm.
think about it, if you actually go back now as an adult, we can be like, oh, I
Oh,
know
I
what that
see what you did there.
I know what you're saying. Ha ha ha.
Mhm.
Let's, rib it a little bit. I can hear it now. But back
Mhm.
then you didn't really hear it because, we were young
Exactly.
and naive, and now you
And we
can
can understand that stuff.
understand it. But a lot of people sat there and said, man, it was too much. Too much of it. But then you look at today's stuff, it's like hell, they even said that with Roger Rabbit with Jessica.
Yeah.
With those big
Too,
bosoms, that was just
it was too adult
t-
friendly and not as kid friendly.
because the way he acts towards her, how everybody's
Mhm.
like, she has that Marilyn Monroe kind of figure,
Yep.
she's walking around, and every she's walking in those scenes, her bosom is bouncing, which, yeah. But I mean, come on, Christopher Lloyd, you know, awesome doc,
Yep.
excuse me. So the one thing I couldn't, one show in particular that I know was a huge from the 90s up, god awful Rugrats. I absolutely hated that show. Hey,
See,
hey, hey. It's like,
see, I watched a lot of Rugrats,
no,
and
no, 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 no.
I know my kid watches Rugrats. Not when she's with me, but she watches Rugrats.
Okay.
I came to the realization of something I saw the other day that the show, the main kid in the show, Tommy,
Oh,
he was a premature baby.
really?
Yeah, because it in one of the episodes it shows him in the NICU in
Uh-huh.
the little incubator thing. I don't know what it's called, but the little bed that has the little holes for hands and stuff. And it's him talking about, he was all alone and he was scared and no one would come and see him until his mom came in and saw him and she held his hand and he wasn't scared anymore. And then it hit me, I was like, wait a minute. He was born early.
Okay. See, I knew no idea on any of that, but that's okay.
And then, you got the sequel all grown up and they're preteens. You skipped all those years from the time they were crawling and first walking is where Rugrats was, and then you
Right.
skipped all through till they're preteens or teenagers.
See,
And I never really got into All Grown Up. I've watched it, but I never really watched it.
it was kind of like Muppet Babies. It was one of those ones that was a big hit for a short time. And the reason why I bring that up is because of the fact that I went to a Jim Henson's exhibit not too long
Uh
ago,
huh.
just a couple weeks ago. And it was amazing to see all this early works of Jim Henson's stuff. And they
Yeah.
had an area just specifically for the Muppet Babies. They had a little Miss Piggy, and I think it was the Fozzie Bear, the little,
Mm-hmm.
things of it. I never was into that show. Muppet Babies was, mm, I didn't like it. I guess I don't like that baby talky. Like, it's like Chucky. Oh
Yeah.
my god, the voices were just hideous. If I remember correctly, I believe in Rugrats wasn't yeah, Tara Strong was in it. She's in everything. Tara Strong
Mm-hmm.
is she has done tons of work. Tons of work. Which is good for her, She was in that. She was
Exactly.
in your favorite Chowder. She was
Yeah.
in
No.
she's in a lot of stuff. I think she does Raven too in Teen Titans Go, I think it was. Um Getting to some of the ones though, like of course Clifford the Big Red Dog. Everybody can relate to that. They even had a movie, didn't they not, for that?
Yeah, they got a new movie coming out this year
Hmm.
for Clifford. It's either the end of this year or the beginning of next year that they have a movie for Clifford coming out. And I've seen commercials for it and it looks amazing. I mean, obviously, it's CGI because you can't,
Right.
there is no dog, one, that is red like that, and two, that is huge like that.
I remember hearing the controversy. I heard the buzz that people were just going crazy because of the color palette. They had to change it. You remember
Mm-hmm.
when Sonic the movie was just coming out, when it was still being announced? They had literally had to stop and reform Sonic because they didn't like the appearance, the way he was shaped, and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So people were just like going crazy because they didn't like that. So now here we are with Clifford the Big Red Dog, and it was not too long ago. It was on Twitter where people were just going crazy because the color palette was wrong. They didn't,
Yeah.
it was too orange or too pink, or it was too damn dark, or it was too light. So
Mm-hmm.
people are like, can you just let the producers, directors, the people who actually made it, can they just do it the way they're doing it? You know, I
Yeah,
think
let them
it's
do what they're gonna do.
I think it's live action too, right? It was a live action and CGI.
Sir, live action, CGI, just like every other movie nowadays.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This one, speaking of like very edgy and stuff like that, that was an edgy one. But you think about like you have you have a fries, you have a meatball, and you have a shake, like a milkshake fries, and so you got basically your meals from a fast food chain wrapped into a series, and they had the dude next door, the retired dude next door, which is really funny, and it was in New Jersey. Did you ever watch the show Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
Yes, I did. And it was one of those out there shows.
Holy shit, you're not kidding. It was it was crazy. It was one of those weird shows that just took off like crazy.
It took off, and it's definitely not. I'm not gonna say it's not kid friendly, but it's more adult
Oh yeah.
aimed
Oh yeah. There's
for sure.
no question. And a lot of the characters, the voices like Benjamin, H. John Benjamin, who does Bob's Burgers, and I know Dubs could relate. People in our channels in our community can relate. About how awesome and amazing Bob's Burgers is. He was in it. Dana Snyder, who does other voices as well too. He was in it. He did Master Shake. I always thought Dave Coulier. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Obviously from Full House. If you're ever familiar with him, I always thought he did Meatwad. Because it's
Yeah.
it's it's not that hard to replicate Meatwad.
Oh yeah.
But he did a voice that was similar to that back in the day, and I thought it was him, but it was actually Dave Willis. Dave Willis was the one who did his voice, if I'm not mistaken. And it was just one of those crazy shows where anything and everything happened. Everything happened to the neighbor.
Carl.
Carl was, I mean, shit happened on him all the time. He got shit on so many times, and it was kind of funny, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
It was one of those things, you can't really, I don't know. I guess you can relate. Okay, what about Dora the Explorer?
Oh my god. I watched Dora a lot as a
I,
kid.
I'll tell you what, she had a longevity, and she still does. I think a 19 year
They just
stint.
Yeah, they just made a movie, a live action Dora movie not that long ago. I think it was like last year or year before.
Yeah, I think they did.
Dora and the Lost City of Gold.
Was that what it was called?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, see, I don't. I remember seeing like the thing of it, on the movie trailers or whatever it was, but I don't know if it did a flop or anything.
Yeah. Dora came out in 2019, the movie. And the TV show actually came out, I want to say in 2000.
Dora the Explorer started in, I think it was 2000, so it was right at the start of things.
The new millennium. Yeah. It started on Nickelodeon too.
So basically, if it's been a 19-year stint, I don't know how old she supposedly is, give or take, but she'd be damn near 30 by now.
Yeah.
It's still going though. It's a still going show, but that's good though. I mean, if it has longevity like that, then if you can relate to it and stuff like that, that's a good one, I guess. I don't know. I
And then
never.
you guys have, like the spin-off series, Go
Oh,
Diego Go, with her and her cousin.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Now he was in some of the shows, right? He's
Yeah.
always with her, or
hmm
I can't believe I don't remember seeing. But what about Bob the Builder?
Oh dear God, I did not care for Bob the Builder at all,
Can you
whatsoever.
you sure can you build it?
It was at the point where when it would come on, and my
Right.
younger sister loved it. So every time I'd say, "Can we fix it?" I'd go, "No, we can't," and walk away. I was a petty little kid.
You were
I hated that show.
what because of the repetitive lines?
Uh-huh.
Is that what killed it for you? Was the
Yep.
repetitiveness of it?
I'm not one for repetition,
No?
and I wasn't as a child. I hated everything being repeated over and over,
Wait,
and
what?
that one just really irritated me. Don't
Oh,
start
I
ca
right. There's some stuff like I don't remember like some of this stuff. There was a Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, which is weird because it only went for a season for only like 1 year.
Yeah, there's it's just some of them did not have, like, the following and the longevity
Which is really
that
shocking because Toy Story
especially because of Toy Story, and it's the Toy Story series is still going today,
it oh my god, it's still going on.
and they've got spin-offs, and there's, like, 4 movies, there's spin-off shows.
It's amazing how something, because we talked about this before on a previous show in regards to sequels, if they make or break movies. Sometimes they're really good, sometimes it gives it that boost, other times it's like, well, this didn't do it for us. This
Mhm,
It actually killed, like Ghostbusters, the fourth one, I think it was, the all lady cast.
mhm.
They I could see the angle they went for, obviously they're going more towards the ladies, they're going more towards, the thing, but
Yeah,
it
they're
was
trying to
a
make it
it
gender neutral.
it was a total flop.
Yeah.
It did not hit the bot, and it's sad because the late what's his face, he was the one, who they were originally going to put that in the script of one of the Ghostbusters, but it was
Mhm,
scratched out or whatever the case it was. If they were going to work on a fourth movie, they was starting to go with it. And I know Dan Aykroyd was very close with him, and it was a don't get me started on Ghostbusters because I loved those shows. Those movies were really good. Um, the thing I
another show that I remember vividly and I thought was great, like, concept-wise, was The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
okay.
Like, you got these 2 kids, girl is angry all the time.
Oh, I know. Okay,
You got this dopey little boy, and they're running around hanging out with the Grim Reaper.
the Okay, yes, I can. Okay, good show. Billy,
Mhm.
do you know how why he became as dumb as he is?
No.
Because Mandy stuck her head in his brain and either took out his brain or took part of his brain out or did something with his brain, and that's why he became as dumb as he is. At least that's the from what I remember reading. That's what it was. And he always had that Jamaican accent too. And do you know how he became their I guess the master, or they became friends?
No,
They
I don't remember that.
they
It's been
became
a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. They became friends because Grimm cheated at a game of what do you call that when you're like bending underneath a pole?
Limbo?
Limbo. And he was cheating, and they actually won because they went lower than he did, but he cheated. So because they were betting that he would take over their lives or take their souls or whatever it was,
Mhm.
in return that he Grimm would forever be their best friend or their friend, and be
His slave.
in control of, yeah, Mandy would be his in control. And she's always very angry, she's always a bitter person, but I like the show was really good. The It got, after a while, he's like, it kind of got really obnoxious,
Yeah.
and he always would pick his boogers, or he would do stuff like that. It was just like, yeah.
Now, here's one I wanna see if you remember. Do you
Okay,
remember Cat Dog?
is that where one end is a dog and the other is a cat?
Uh-huh.
I do remember that. Yes, I recall that very vividly. Yes. That was kind of weird.
That theme song still, to this day, gets stuck in my head
It's
all the
a
time.
catchy. Yes, it's very catchy.
All the time.
Very catchy show. See, that's what it is too. A lot of these shows they had jingles. They're
And they don't make cartoons nowadays like they did back then.
that reminds me of like we were just discussing about Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That opening,
Yeah,
because it that will stick in my head. Pretty, it
yeah.
just always will. And oh, it's crazy.
There was so many, like Angry Beavers, Recess. Oh my god, the Wild Thornberries? That one was I like that one.
Wild Thornberries. Why does that sound so familiar?
You got a family, the mom and dad are like adventurers.
Okay.
You got the 3 kids. The oldest, she's kinda stuck up, wants to do her own thing. Then you got the middle child who wants to adventure and stuff like her parents, and then you got the baby or the toddler, his name, I believe, was Donnie,
Okay.
and he just acted crazy. I'm pretty sure if you saw it, you'd know.
I would totally remember. I'm pretty darn sure. What about what if I say pizza and a rat
Pizza and a rat, I
and they
think
lived in the
Ninja Turtles.
sewers?
Ninja Turtles.
There you go. See, just like that. Everybody knows it. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I remember why they always seemed kind of wild childs, with April O'Neil and and Shredder, of course. I think the dad from Fresh Prince of Bel Air, I think he did the voice of Shredder for a while, if I'm
I
not
don't know.
mistaken. If not, boy, he sounds a lot like him. He sounds like, that show though, always I always liked like Raphael and stuff in particular. Raphael was always the character I liked.
And then, of course, there's shows that are still super popular today, like Scooby-Doo. They started, God only knows,
Oh my! You know how many times this like Scooby Mobile or the
the Mystery
Mystery
Machine.
Machine Scooby Mobile. But I always thought it was kind of weird, and a lot of people always fight me for it. But it always seemed like to me it was drug related in a sense. A Scooby snack.
Okay,
It
yeah. Scoob and Shaggy seemed like the stoners.
they total
That was for
stoners.
sure. You see their sandwiches and they're like huge
Huge,
and
yeah. They would eat like they never ate before.
exactly they were
They
high all the time.
they had to have, and of course that was the 60s 70s. I mean it continued on from the
Mhm.
70s 80s even 90s even 2000s, and I think to this day
Yep.
there's still some Scooby-Doo out there, and
They just made a new Scoob movie not too long ago.
I know they had, I mean there's got to be a reference to drugs in there somewhere. It has to be a
Has
Scooby
to be.
snack, has to be.
Scoob just came out last year.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, in 2020.
Interesting.
And then you got shows, Miss Spider's Sunny Patch Friends. I remember watching that with my sister a lot.
Hmm.
Your face is giving me those I don't think I know that one
I
vibes.
don't, yeah, I don't remember that one. I remember like Ben 10,
Oh yeah, Ben
and
10 was
that's
big
still a big too. At
for
least it was for a while on the Cartoon
yeah.
Network.
And then like some of the shows for the younger kids, you got
Oh, Bill. Okay.
Little Bill Cosby.
Mm.
And then you got one that me and Dub were just talking about. I think it was yesterday.
The Fairly Odd
No,
Parents.
no, it was
Oh.
the other day. That's a good show too, though. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that's still going on. But me and Dub, when we were talking about, that one military looking thing that was really hard to steer. in GTA.
Yes, that weird looking,
The
yeah,
pill bug.
a pill bug. Yep.
Roly poly oly.
Oly poly. Oh, okay.
If you saw it, you'd probably know it. That show does not get enough credit. That show was great. And it's sad because the stuff that we grew up on, oh, excuse me, our kids aren't gonna grow up on.
Today's cartoons are trash. They
I
are.
know.
It's sad because like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kim Possible, Total Drama, stuff
Hmm.
like that when we were growing up. Even Trolls, that reminds me of the Alvin and Chipmunks, and we didn't even touch base on those, or DuckTales.
Oh Jesus.
That bass line, that openings again, jingle, it just sticks in your head. It does. It totally sticks in your head. I
No. Do you remember Zaboomafoo?
I think
The
that's what
ring-tailed lemur?
I think that's one I could never pronounce. That does sound familiar.
I saw something the other day. I was just scrolling through, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that lemur died. Okay.
Oh,
But
recently.
yeah, not too long ago. But he had babies, and now his babies have had babies.
What are you
So
trying to say?
there's three generations of Zaboomafoo's. And I'm sorry, I'm an animal person. You put an animal on a TV show, I'm gonna watch it. I loved Zaboomafoo growing up. All
Sp-
the wacky things that lemurs do. It was just cute.
SpongeBob, of course, we were talking about. That's been on since 1999.
What
Mm,
about Ed, Ed, and Eddie? Do you remember that?
I do. I always got him confused.
Yep.
I always got him
All I,
confused.
all I knew was Eddie was the short
What's
one
the
that
short one?
loved
Yep.
money. And then you got Ed and Double D.
They always seem kind of bitter too.
All they wanted was money so they could go buy jawbreakers that were like made their cheeks stick out like half of a fucking football field.
What about Apple and Onion? I know that's kind of forwarding time, like in present time, but you ever watch that show?
I did not. I have no idea what that show is.
It's an apple and literally a green onion, and there's some really cool, like there's Falafel, which is their landlord, and I think because of 2020 happening, it kind of shut down production for a while.
Mhm.
And every once in a while now, you'll see like a new episode, but they have quite a list. You should check it out. I think it's on if you just I think it's on Cartoon Network,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken.
One show before the break that I missed is Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That dog went through so much shit.
His tooth always like freaked me out though.
It was like half the size of his head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when he would yell,
Ah, yeah.
his whole body would like extend, and it was great. I
And
mean,
they were always clueless too.
uh-huh.
They were always clueless, and stuff would always happen to them. Like, oh
And
my god.
and this dog has a damn computer in the attic that tells him these things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they happen. Like
And he lives out in the middle of nowhere. They have this like little
they
farmland
have
or.
they have a house,
Mm-hmm.
a mailbox, and a road. That's it. Like, I'm sorry, that's a little too much seclusion for my taste.
Eustace, I think it was his name, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Hey, you always had.
Mhm. You stupid dog. You're making me
Wow.
look bad.
4 seasons that one had. That was in 96 all the way up until 2002.
Mhm.
Still a good show though.
Yes. And I believe a lot of the old like Nickelodeon stuff
Mhm.
is on Hulu. Because I'm pretty sure I seen Courage on Hulu not too long ago.
I don't have Hulu, but it's probably either it's going to be you have the Titans Hulu, you have
Mhm.
Sling, you have Paramount Plus, and now you have Disney Plus. Those are your big
Mhm.
four players right now.
And HBO
Peacock
Max.
and HBO Max, yeah. But as far as like shows and shows and shows, that definitely, oh god, the sweet life of Zach and Cody. No,
No.
just no,
It's just
just no, no.
no.
My dad, the rock star. I don't remember
I
that one.
remember that.
The Angry Beavers, I do recall. I remember that one. I didn't really watch it, but
Johnny Bravo.
mm,
He
Flapjack and
was
the
so
Marvelous Misadventures of
obnoxious.
Flapjack. I remember that one. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that too much.
There's so many. Like looking at looking at a list of movies
Mm-hmm.
from my childhood makes me feel really old, but it
But
also makes me want to go back and rewatch some of them.
but see, that's the thing. That's the nostalgia thing. And a lot of people today, like in our age bracket, they want to reminisce and they want to go back into it. And I'm sure some of the baby boomers, Gen X's, and stuff like that probably do the same thing with their
Mhm.
cartoons.
Mhm.
But I think though a lot of this stuff that came out for pre 2010, 2015
Yeah.
was really good. I mean, that was like there was so many good things, 80s all the way up until the 2000s.
Oh
But
god,
then once
yes.
you get into like a certain time, like today's stuff, there really it's a hit or miss. There's a lot of shows that are
Yeah.
they're terrible that like I would never watch. Like I've seen commercials for things. I won't get into details because we're running out of time. But there was a lot of shows now that I wouldn't if I had a family I would say no. Watch some
Mhm.
of the stuff I grew
Exactly.
up in. You would love it.
Yeah.
There's some really good stuff that even some stuff I don't think I watched some of the stuff I've the baby Looney Tunes. I don't remember that. I remember just the Looney Tunes and the Fairly Odd Parents. We mentioned that one before. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy were super good. Stuff like
Mhm.
this, but a lot of the stuff now, today's stuff is just tripe. I mean,
Yeah.
is it because
It's
are we getting old and we're like not giving it a chance, maybe, or
I that's probably the reason,
am I
to be
getting
honest.
old now and it's like, hey,
But then again, you also have to think nowadays a lot of kids are more into like YouTube and video games, whereas,
mm-hmm.
we we didn't stay inside and play video games all day. We went outside and played, come back in, watch TV, ate dinner.
Yep,
We got up in the morning, watched cartoons with our breakfast.
Saturday morning cartoons,
Kids
man.
kids don't do that nowadays. They just get up, get whatever they want to eat and go jump on YouTube.
After these messages, yeah. See, a lot of people
Like
don't.
kids aren't gonna kids don't understand, and they never will, what we went through
They never will.
when you were really into a movie and you had to use the bathroom for commercial breaks.
You had to time your
You had
bladder.
to run,
Yeah.
especially like in my case, we had a, a two-story house with a basement and an attic.
Nice.
There was a bathroom on the second floor and a bathroom in the basement. Either way, you had to go up or downstairs. So you had to make sure as soon as that commercial come on, you were running.
We only had one bathroom and it was tiny. It was literally a closet. The house I
Yeah,
grew up in was very tiny.
our downstairs bathroom was only a half bath. It had the toilet and the sink. So
Mm.
yeah, it was a unfinished basement, but we were trying to turn it into more rooms because we have a big family. It never got turned into more rooms, so
After
but
the break, we're going to be talking about a movie you and I can relate to, a lot of people can relate to, and we don't have to get our hands dirty to dig out for the bones and stuff.
Hmm.
But the music in that show, the very first one, when I first heard it, the movie title music was just amazing. So that'll be up coming up after the break. We'll be right back on the second hour of the Megabyte podcast. Let's get into some nostalgia stuff here. Let's get into, well, this originally came out in 1993, Jurassic Park.
Well, maybe it came out before I was born.
Now, here's interesting facts. This movie is as much CGI, CG graphics and stuff back then was very old, or very, I shouldn't say old. It was very new.
Yeah.
In its time, in its heyday. $63 million it cost to make the show, make the movie. 128 minutes. We're talking 2 hours, 8 minutes, right off the fly. That's a lot. Think about it. That's a lot of time to sit on your rump, watch this movie. 63 million. Do you know how much it netted at the box office? Just take a guess.
Twice that?
Excuse me, what?
Twice the budget?
So you're saying roughly 126 million?
Maybe.
They would laugh at you.
Oh, jeez.
How about, are you sitting down?
Yes.
1.034 billion with a B.
Crap.
A billion. That was just the very first movie.
Jesus.
It held a record as the highest grossing film ever until the movie I'm on Top of the World came in.
Titanic.
And sunk its ship of it dug those bones deeper into the ground. Yes, Titanic obviously overtook it.
This movie, for its time, it seemed like it was so ahead of its time. I mean, on Rotten Tomatoes, you have a 92% from Rotten Tomatoes. That's an A.
Now, just for shiggles and gets, if we threw the Titanic out, $200 million budget, $200 million. Okay. It box office grossed $2.195 billion as a reference. 2.195. Can you imagine that? $1 billion. Okay.
That's insane.
So Steven Spielberg, of course, we all know Mr. Steven Spielberg directed the Jurassic Park. Colin Trevorrow is going to be the director of this upcoming Jurassic World Dominion, which is supposed to be coming out for theatrical release in June 10th, 2022. So it's actually just a little under a year.
Yep. They're still fine-tuning it.
I'm sure they are.
Obviously, it's going to be a Universal Pictures
movie.
I mean, I haven't seen much on it yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen a commercial yet for this, or a trailer. Do they have one out there? Maybe I'll have to watch it.
I'm not sure.
Now, Jeff Goldblum, everybody knows him, obviously.
Yes.
Everybody knows him. He was Dr. something Malcolm. Yes, Malcolm, that's right.
Dr. Malcolm.
Chris Pratt. I think he was the original too, wasn't he? Or was he
No?
No?
He was in Jurassic World.
That's where he came in from. Okay.
Yes. He was in the fourth movie. Because you got 1, 2, and 3, and then you got
Sam Neill, he's in. He was the original as Dr. Alan Grant.
Dr. Grant. And then Laura Dern also is coming back as Dr. Ellie Sattler. She was in the original as well.
Yes, she was. That's right. Now
it was Alan, Ellie, and Ian. Say that 5 times fast.
I don't think Wayne Knight is going into this, is he? I don't think.
I'm not sure.
Now, as we were mentioning about, obviously, Steven Spielberg, he's going to be a executive producer of this. So
Mhm.
early conversations in Jurassic World, which came out in 2015, he had told, now Spielberg had told the director Colin that he was interested in having several more films made. But I mean, how much deeper can you really go? I thought, like,
From what I've heard, this Dominion is gonna be the end to the franchise.
I'm very surprised they didn't do it as a prequel.
I like the fact that they're obviously bringing in the originals, the main grabbed
Right.
you up and got you into the series. I'm so glad that they're bringing them in with the new people
Hmm.
from Jurassic World. I love how it's tying it all together.
Right.
Obviously, they're tied together because of the fact that it's the theme park from the first one that they're trying to make come alive.
Yeah, because that's what it was based on. The guy I always called him. I always call him Colonel Sanders. Because that's what he remind me of. He always remind me of Colonel Sanders when he first came in,
Mhm.
and I know, uh, of course, he is not, Attenborough.
No. Yeah,
That's who it
Richard
was.
Attenborough.
Yeah, he.
Dr. John Hammond.
When I first saw him and when I first heard the music and the opening where the helicopter popping in, he immediately just kind of reminded me of KFC dude. But that's just me. But I don't
One
think
of my
he's.
favorite lines from the movie is, "It's a dinosaur." It's one of my favorite movies, and I'll just randomly, like, for Christmas, my kid wanted dinosaurs, and that was the first thing that popped into my head,
Really.
was that line of the Jurassic Park movie.
Mine
Because
was "You're a clever girl" or "Clever girl,"
yeah,
where
that
the
one too.
Velociraptor opens the
Uh-huh.
door. That was scary. I mean, I ain't gonna
Oh
lie.
my god. The scene where the kids are in the kitchen,
Oh
and they've
yeah,
got 3 velociraptors
yes.
trying to find them. That was the scariest thing I'd ever seen as a child.
Now the what did it for me was, if you watched this, like if you had friends who had surround sound speakers or anybody, or
Oh,
even if you
God.
went back, because I remember not too long ago, at least in my area, I don't know about your area, they had like nostalgia movies. Like they did one week, they did Raiders of the Lost Ark. Then
Mhm.
they would do like Roger Rabbit. Then they did something else, something from the 40s or whatever it was. And then they had Jurassic Park come back. And you know
Yeah.
how it is with the movie speakers, the movie audio is just incredibly sick. That did
Oh, God,
Dolby
yes.
surround sound that goes all the way around the theater, and you could feel the bass, you could hear the bass, you could hear every little nook and cranny, little rattling of the leaves are crinkling behind you. It's like, oh shit.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I remember seeing Jurassic Park, the original, and hearing those in the water vibrating
The
while they're in.
ripples.
Yes, the two kids that are in the vehicle, and the water is just vibrating, and then next thing you know they turn on their flashlight and there's this big eyeball right there at their Jeep.
Mhm.
Scared, even to this day, scared the shit out of me. I'm like, man, that is just amazing how they had the sound back then, and
Oh, yes.
that's what
I
makes or
mean,
breaks movies too.
when I was a kid, I know my parents had a really nice surround sound system, and they had the way our living room was set up, it wasn't a full square. Like, in the corner, we had, like, a diagonal wall because we had a shadow box there. So we had 4 speakers all the way around the back of the couch.
Okay.
So it was right there behind you. And some
Mm.
parts of those movies made you jump
Oh
with
yeah,
those speakers right behind you.
you
And
could.
then to feel the subwoofer on the floor, oh god, it brought a whole new level to
uh,
watching that movie.
It definitely does. It's just like with movies like that. Avatar was another one. I think
Mhm.
The Mummy was really good too. I must have seen that movie like 30 times. I don't know why. I like the Middle Eastern. The music in that movie just drew me into it, and it was really cheesy. Brandon Fraser,
Mhm.
and it was
Yeah.
just I didn't like the Scorpion King. I didn't like the pre or the
Mm,
sequels with Rock. I mean, he was a good actor in it, but it didn't do it for me.
I feel like he's in too many movies nowadays.
And they brought their kid into it, which just it just sunk it too. It's just like you should have just kept going with him. Like 5 years later, Emo Tap comes back and there's more stuff that's happening instead of going into it now where you have this Scorpion King. He's a half human, half scorpion thing, and then the kid
Yeah,
is always
exactly.
bumbling, and they have to rescue the kid. It's just like the damsel in distress scenario movie. So I just like,
Mm, yeah. Yep.
the original was really good. They were talking about various things. They began filming this in Canada. I always call it Canada, but in Canada is where they were filming. Other locations included, I believe it was in England. This was back in the. It was supposed to be. They were planning it for 2014, which kind of would have made sense, but I guess it was put on hold, and then they had the Fallen Kingdom, which I don't think I've ever saw. Did you see that movie?
I have not seen Fallen Kingdom. I've seen short clips and stuff, but I've never actually sat down and watched Fallen Kingdom. I
It
want to, especially before I watch
right.
this one,
That's
because this is supposed to end the franchise.
so for that one, the budget. Here we go again with some big numbers. The budget for that one, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which I've never really just a blink of an eye. I remember one trailer or whatever. 170 to 187 million dollars to make.
Jesus.
That's the budget of it, okay? In the box office, drumroll, it took in 1.310 billion, 1.3 billion dollars.
Oh my goodness.
So you're telling me Jurassic Park is just it hits a home run every time.
Mhm.
Every
It seems
time.
like, no matter what they do,
It's gold. It's the Midas touch. And
exactly.
and,
It's
and
it's
that's
gonna be
interesting.
like they've made these movies, and then off of these movies, they have a Legos game. They have numerous PC games, PlayStation games, and they can just keep going with it because who doesn't love dinosaurs?
Why would they want to stop something that's like the iron is hot? Why stop it?
Exactly.
Just like with Toy Story, just like with some of those now, like Bill and Ted's. We talked about that before. It was a good movie, but
Yeah.
it too little too late. It was, I mean, it was like what, 10, 12, 15 years later. They're just now doing it would be like the equivalence of them saying, hey, let's do another Wayne's World. But the
Oh
kids
God.
today wouldn't know what the hell Wayne's World was.
Nope.
We could be like, excellent, and
Yeah, exactly.
but see that those people today won't know how it was supposed to be. This was supposed to be known as the Jurassic World 3, would have been released in June 11th of this year, 2021 is what they it was announced then. This is back in 2018. So they were actually talking about this way back in 2014. It just baffles my mind how long it takes for these people to say, okay, 7, 8 years later, I'm going to finally put this on, start writing this. It just blows my mind how they do that. The Trevor, he would write the script based on a story by him and his writing partner Derek Connolly, who worked with him on scripts of previous Jurassic Park films. So here we are with people who already have written. See, that's one thing too about writers and directors and stuff. If you had the same people from the previous and it struck gold, like, obviously
Mhm.
this particular trilogy slash now fourth one comes in, have why change the actors, or why change anything of the producers, etc. Why add anybody? Just keep the people that made it gold because they're onto something.
Exactly.
Writing
I mean,
was.
when you get a cast, like we've said in previous episodes, when you get a cast that works well together,
Mhm.
keep them together.
Keep them together, Hollywood. That's exactly. As a dear Hollywood, as people of connoisseurs of the world, we want you to stick together. I don't know if anybody will. Yeah.
So when obviously they were filming,
Mhm.
you know, they started filming in February of 2020, no, 2019.
It's just
They
right.
started filming sometime in 2019. I know it was, said that they were gonna do one. They're the plans for the Jurassic World trilogy
Right.
in 2016. I think they announced it in 2018 of February,
Mhm.
and it was set to be released on June 11th of this year. But, in February of 2020, or not February, March of 2020, they put production on hiatus because of the pandemic.
That makes sense. Yeah, I could understand it.
And they had originally expected to resume filming within a couple of weeks, but then we all know how 2020 went.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't just a couple weeks.
Yeah, it was later down in the mid part of the. See, that's the thing. When you have downtime like that, like if I'm shooting a movie that has CG in it and stuff, this gives you extra time to work on some of the CG stuff. Some of the, like in their case, I guess it would be the dinosaurs or any visual effects. If you already have, like if I've already filmed people running down the street and they're just running and there's nobody behind them, I could
Mhm.
throw a dinosaur in there now. I could say,
Yeah,
hey,
exactly. You can start working on the CG stuff while the actors can't
r-
physically be there.
so it kind of catches you. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise. I know that sounds kind of silly to
Yeah,
say or
and
something stupid to say, but
I mean, Universal confirmed, they'd resume filming in 2020 in
mhm.
July. So they did resume on July 6th in 2020, but they spent approximately about $5 million on various safety protocols,
Mm,
including thousands of tests for the cast and crew before, production resumed and during the filming. There was also a medical facility that was commissioned to do the tests. The doctors and the nurses would be on site. You know, cast and crew had to undergo various training for COVID-19,
okay.
and the set had to, obviously they put in hand sanitizer stations and safety signs,
That's
kind
good.
of like everywhere else.
Mhm.
And they had the temperature testing stations built, and they were required, if they were not filming, they were required to wear masks as well.
I heard.
They 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 shot once they started filming again. An entire hotel in England was rented out by Universal,
Okay.
and that allowed the cast and the crew to quarantine there for 2 weeks before resuming filming. So they were taking
Smart.
every step necessary to get back to doing the filming on this movie, and they were doing it the right way. They didn't just say, "Oh, well, we're gonna stop until this is over. We're gonna pick it back up when everything dies down." No. They took every step necessary and possible to make it a safe production, safe filming, and they made sure that their crew, their cast, everyone was well taken care of during the time of a worldwide pandemic, but they're still getting their movie done.
And that's very noble of them. And I'm glad they took those precautionaries. And I know there was I've read in articles there was a big culling for people to be the people who would actually go to movie sets, and they paid really good per hour and weekly salaries of
Yeah.
people who would go to Hollywood. They would go on these sound stages, close sets. They would actually make sure that the director makes sure everybody who's in the cast or anybody who's in that building were taking precautionary actions, and they would make sure that people were doing step by steps. Do you have signs that say 6 feet? You know, you have to stay away from each other, six
Social
feet.
distancing, 6 feet,
Right.
hand
Stations.
sanitizers,
Exactly. And if
temperature checks, all that good stuff.
and the damnedest thing was, Bunny, is these people who would go and do these particular jobs could literally and legally shut down a movie production or TV production if they felt deemed that they were not following protocols.
Mhm.
I read that and I was like, holy shit, they can out Trump a director, producer, whatever the case it is. So they had, which I'm glad they did in a sense. They'd had the power, the hierarchy of the whole cast, the whole group there.
Mhm.
Speaking of smart or not so smart things, you know a little about the Velociraptor. It lived between the years of 89.8 million years ago to 72.1 million years ago, because you know back then everything was subtracted backwards, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But then we go forward, which in a sense we're going backwards. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah.
So we're like, it's weird. So 89 million years ago, think how far along that is. Our life is but a blink of nothing compared to how long ago millions of years is. Even 100 years is quite a bit. But they can run at a speed of 25 miles per hour. That's what they assume. So that's 37 feet a second velocity. That's the equivalence of how fast you travel in a residential neighborhood. Think about
Yeah.
that. The average human can run about
I ain't
19
outrunning
miles
it.
per. No, I'm not outrunning this sucker either. The top
I don't even think Usain Bolt can outrun it.
the top athletes, like Olympic people, like top athletes can run maybe 24 to 26 miles per hour tops. That's
They'll be racing the Velociraptor.
that is like the, so in other words, this thing could go 25 miles per hour at a set pace and it would out dominate you. But how smart were they really? They say that they were about as smart, they were smarter just a little bit. Don't take offense to it. Smarter than a rabbit and not quite as smart as a cat or dog. That is what they say. So they didn't really outwit humans. I don't even think humans were around then, but if they were, they wouldn't be able to do like they did in the
Chase
movie.
people.
Yeah, they didn't chase people. And that's the thing too. A lot of people don't understand was, you know, humans, I don't think were cavemen were not even around when the dinosaurs were here on the earth,
Yeah.
which is shocking to some because we see this in movies.
Associate cavemen and women with dinosaurs and
Flintstones.
mammoths and stuff like that. The prehistoric creatures that were killed in either the meteorite or the ice age or,
Mm-hmm. The Yabba Dabba Do times is
Yep,
they
exactly.
we could have covered that one last hour before, which is really, you know, interesting. They had all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. This seems like it's gonna be good. And as you say, this is going to be the end of this
Yes,
series.
this is supposed to be the end of the franchise. It is supposed to be the movie to finish all of the Jurassic Park
Hmm.
films,
So it
which
makes
is kind of sad if you think about it,
it's
because they can do a lot with it.
they could totally do a lot with it. They could absolutely do a lot with this. There's a lot of things they could do prequels to it. You know, and
Mhm.
like how when was the
How
building of the, you know, the KFC dude?
how John Hammond,
Yeah.
how did it all start? Like what was how did the idea start? How did the idea spark? How did they get all the equipment and stuff on that island? How did they get dinosaurs on that island? You could go back and tell that story, and I'll sit there and watch it.
See, that would be a good story, you know, like get a little bit of a backstory. We mentioned that before about backstories on video games and stuff. But some movies really do need stuff like that. They need a little bit of a backstory, especially when you have I mean, okay,
Dinosaurs,
dinosaurs are behind cages. How the hell did they end up there? How the hell did they end
right?
up on this island of where you have to be flown in via heli, you know? And
Who
then
had to get eaten to realize how many volts you need to keep a dinosaur contained?
those cages were absolutely like the when you see that like a wide scope, the way it's panned out, the fencing and how mammoth those sets were, it's just crazy. Like it gives you that, it draws you into it. It makes you think you're standing there. You're this big, and these cages are huge, and there's I mean, dinosaurs were massive back then. Some are like 5 stories tall. Like your
Yeah,
brontosaurus was one of the biggest bad boys up there. You know, it's like
exactly.
most gentlest usually are the biggest, but you know, like
Yeah,
it was
like an
absolutely
arm.
exactly. It was like holy crap, man. The running time on the original was 128 minutes. This one is supposedly, it hasn't been said yet, but I'm estimating it probably will be in that same ballpark, about 2 hours.
Yeah,
$165 million. So they figured already the cost of this. Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas, of course we mentioned them. Sam Neill, Laura Dem, Jeff Goldblum. I don't think the well, obviously, what's his face is not going to be in it. Samuel L. Jackson,
yeah,
which is a surprise. Wayne Knight, of
yeah.
course, you know, I didn't say the magic words, which is wow. Like, what happened to them?
I don't see. I don't know what they're going for as far as I mean, I get you want to intermingle old school with new school, and I think they're trying to do that without you know putting too many of the old school in there.
Right,
But the main people obviously is Dr. Grant, Dr. Sattler, and Dr. Malcolm. But Dr. Hammond, he was the brains behind the whole thing. Unless unless in the first Jurassic World movie he died or something.
I
I
think
don't remember.
Wayne Knight. Yeah, I can remember. Now I was as you were mentioning that, I was just thinking that I think he did. Well, they didn't say officially he died, but just the way he was around those little dinosaurs that he called they were
Mhm.
cute, but they shot that acid at his eyes and
Yeah.
his glasses got covered up. Then he's like falling backwards, and then that was it for him. So I guess maybe they wrote him out purposely. I don't know why Samuel L. Jackson. Do you remember his character,
I
what he did, or did he die in the first one? I don't remember that.
I don't think he did, but that's the thing. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Like, cause you would think unless he died in the movie or something happened,
Right.
they would have him back because again, when you have a cast that works well together, you keep them together.
You definitely want to keep. I mean, God forbid if something happened to one of the actors before, you know, as between the time of the first one or the second one, whatever movie it was, till this time frame when they start production, or maybe
So Dr. Hammond, you know, Colonel Sanders to you, he he did die before Jurassic World.
oh, he did
He
die.
died in between the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World timelines.
Oh,
So that's why he's not going to be in it. But like you said, Samuel L. Jackson, Wayne Knight is like, where did their stories go?
right. Well, he was 90 years old, so okay, so I could see that. But it does again, you know, like Samuel L. Jackson. Where does he come into place? Maybe they just couldn't. Maybe he's working on other films and stuff. Maybe he's in production and he couldn't. he couldn't do it, or maybe they just said, okay, well, because he's such a busy man that we're just going to kind of not script him into it, or maybe they had written a script for him, but he turned them down. I mean, there's behind the scenes that we don't know, you know.
Yeah, or like I said, he could have died in the first one, and I just don't remember
Right.
because it has been quite a while since I've seen the original Jurassic Park movies.
Now, in early of August 2020, they had said that 4 crew members in England had tested positive for COVID,
Yes.
and another 4 tested positive in Malta after the arriving ahead of the production. So that even further halted things, and they must have, as you mentioned, quarantined for 14 days and stuff like that. What's really cool though is, and if you have the room to do this in your barn, I don't know if you have a barn or not. I don't. I have a cardboard box. That's it. Literally just a flat box with hamsters that leave me little seeds occasionally on the ground that are kind of crunchy. But the Trevorrow, the director of this, I guess he lives in the UK. He had said that they post is obviously after, pre is before, post is after. So post production means they have everything in the can, they wrapped it up, as we call it in the industry, as having it in the can, and then they take all that stuff, and then they okay, I'm going to put music behind this scene. So they all the production stuff, that's all the effects, the special effects, all the visual effects and stuff like that, post production. And he was working on the visual effects, the sound mixing and stuff that was and scoring as separate processes. Now, a lot of times they don't do that. They have a production team that does this, they melt it into this. So like if you told me, okay, or the director said, Cactus, you're going to do the music. I turned and I did the music. Then I hand my music over to your section, and they tell you that you're going to do special effects and stuff like this, or sound effects. So then you have the music behind it. So it's done, but it's done differently, which is
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
Michael Giacchino. If he's a really good musician. He's the one. In fact, he's won Oscars and Emmys too, or at least he's been in 3 Grammys. He was known for his work from the other Jurassics. So remember, I was telling you about the music, how memorable
That
it is.
that music that you never forget.
There are some movies and music you never forget, or scenes in a movie you never forget. And we were just mentioning
Exactly.
about how you were talking about the scene where they're in the kitchen of Velociraptors. There's 3 of them. They're cornered. Pretty neat special effects they did on that. But for me, the music, of course, was the music in the beginning. And I could still hear it in my head too. I could instantly hear the horns. I could just hear it, and it's so anthem like. When you have something that's like an anthem, it sticks to your brain.
Yep.
Sticks to your head.
It's memorable.
It's very memorable.
And it's one of those things that, you hear it and instantly you know what it is, or instantly you start like humming along, or
and it's very catchy,
yes.
Now that was recorded. The music was recorded in Abbey Road Studios. Of course, we know what Abbey Road is, and I mean, unless you were hiding under a rock in the last 60 years or so. Abbey Road Studios, of course, is where the infamous Beatles recorded their stuff, and a shit ton of different places, different musicians have gone through there. But that was recorded over a 10-day period, so that's very short.
Yeah, it's short, it's quick, but the outcome was amazing.
Been in many studios myself. I can personally say when you go into a studio, you get very nervous. After a while, you start calming down, but when you first step foot in there and you get all the miking, all the mics set up, and then it's like, okay, do I have a click track? Do I don't have a click track? So typically when you're in there, it can be very overwhelming because because you're in a studio, and just like the camera, that is the director in the back. He's the master production. He's the director right there. He's behind glass, and he's staring at you, and they're behind the monitor. They're staring at you and stuff. So it's like, okay, here I am, doing my thing. And then if I screw up, Of course, they're going to hear it because each individual track is being recorded together at the same time, but they can mute everybody else. That's what makes it unique. They can, like, if you have drums or like 7 or 8 tracks of drums, because there's
Yeah.
one for snare, from bass kick, the cymbals, the hi-hats, etc., etc. So it's kind of overwhelming, but a 10-day period, that's pretty short. That's pretty
It's
short
very
time
short.
considering
That's
it
only
being a
like a week
movie.
and a half.
And I mean, unless they're in there for like, they have like great musicians. Maybe they had a London Harmonics, or I don't know. But if they have musicians that could say, okay, start here, start at 7 a.m., go to 2 o'clock, have lunch, come back an hour later, do the finish. So I could see it if they do it, if they have long days. But man, 10
Mhm.
days is not very much, because if you screw up and, it can be overwhelming. I mean, even for me, when I was in the studio, 3 days is very short when you're trying to do
Mhm.
even 7 songs. I can only
Yeah.
imagine them doing that. Which is the filming was concluded last fall, November 7th, after 100 days of shooting, or nearly 100 days of shooting in this.
It's a movie that I'm kind of excited for. But also, I have to go back and watch Fallen Kingdom still. So, I mean, I'll get around to that when I get around to it. I still have just under a year until this new one comes out.
Now, what they say, Marshall clarified in May 2020, Jurassic World Dominion will not be the final film of the franchise. Oh. And that it would instead mark the start of a new era
Oh,
in which
okay.
humans have to adjust to dinosaurs being on the mainland. Now, if you believe in, Panagoria, where the continents were all together, and this is
Pangea.
and Pangea, that's it. I knew it was something with a pan in it, like, a pan flute or Peter Pan, but all the continents were squished together, and they kind of separate it. It's weird. It's amazing how that works, but it's true, I guess. And that's how all these dinosaurs are all parts of the world. They're discovering some that are up in Russia that they have never discovered. Just in recent times, I had read an article where because of the permafrost melting up there in Russia and like Siberia, like places I would never want to visit ever, not because of the country, but because it's freezing cold. I would never go up there. But they are now finding evidence of bones and stuff of dinosaurs and other pre-human things that were never discovered before. So
Prehistoric.
it makes sense though, because if you have Pangea, pancreas, what was it called?
Pangea.
Thank you, Pangea. You have all this together, and then you have it's kind of like Jurassic Park in a sense. It's a big island, so I could see where they stemmed or coined that from. You have all these
Yeah.
different ones from different parts of the world. I mean, that must have been pretty big.
Yeah.
You think all 7 continents put together, including Australia. Australia is a continent? I guess it is, isn't it? Isn't a
I
continent
would think
anything that's
so.
separated by water between each other? I should know this as an adult. I should know what a continent is. I should know the continents. I know
Possibly.
America. But you think about all the various, I guess it would be like kind of like how it is in the US. If you were just mentally image, you have like the New
Mhm.
York, you have the New England area, so that would be like a set of dinosaurs. You have the people in the South, you would have different dinosaurs in the South, and then to the West,
Mhm.
etc., etc. So it kind of makes sense why there's different ones in Siberia versus there's ones in Africa, or whatever the case it is. But they have
Yeah.
found, you know, they have found a ton of dinosaur bones from all parts of the world. I
I
would
mean, yeah.
I would
How
love to
how
do.
you can find dinosaur bones of the same species on two separate continents.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I mean, if you think about it, the Pangea theory is not that far fetched.
It isn't. It really
Because
isn't.
if you look at like the curve of North America
Hmm.
in South America and you push it up against, um, and England and stuff like that, if you push them together,
Mm-hmm.
granted they're not going to fit 100% perfect, but that's because of years and years and years of the continents either falling off, like trimming themselves down or
Erosion, correct. Yep.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
If you put
Mm-hmm.
them together, it looks like at one point in time they would have fit perfect like puzzle pieces.
Now that's
So,
millions of years. You think about how long it took for them to separate. They say that we are getting closer. I guess some of the as it sits now, it's probably going to take another
billion years.
million years or 2 million years. But they're saying that I think we're either it was America was going to bump into Australia or something, or I forgot what they said specifically, but they said that the continents are shifting again instead of closing back, and it's kind of like that theory where the universe expanded and then to a point with the Big Bang, and now it's kind
Yeah.
of retracting back. It's kind of like a rubber band stretching, and now it's going
Hmm.
back. And
It's just going slow.
the Andromeda galaxy is on a collision course to the Milky Way galaxy, and they say that is like a billion years or whatever it is, or 100 million years way after us and stuff.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's a scary thought. Hey, let's have a galaxy collide with ours. But it does make sense though, the thing. But again, with human beings being around, and I think science today has said and proven that the meteor that did it for the dinosaurs was the one that was down there in the Gulf of Mexico that hit near Mexico, right in that little inlet area. If you kind of look at
Hmm.
it, where Mexico kind of extends into South America, there's that
Yeah.
little area. There was and it was a huge meteor too that supposedly did it in for us. I mean, it wouldn't take much, honest to God. You think
Hmm.
about a meteor. Meteors come in all shapes and sizes, just like people and plants and animals. And just a meteor just hitting the earth like that would just cause catastrophic devastation. But I think back then it was just because it was the way it hit, the size of it, and I guess it just asphyxiated because all the smoke, and it went into like a nuclear winter in a sense, where it was
Yeah.
just it rained fire. But of course we weren't there. This is millions of years ago, you know. And ever since then, that's where we get oil too, right? Is all they say that the oil that we get, the crude oil, is basically animals that have fossilized and turned into this goo, and that's
Hmm.
where we get our oil. Well, the rotting of the plants and stuff like this too, also, but oil is most likely from prehistoric times. So next time you fill up in your vehicle, or next time you get an oil change, thank a dinosaur. Thank you, T Rex. Thank you, Brontosaurus. And just call him TJ or something. I don't know. You said around the world. They also had stated to uh, with the technology they have today, obviously it's going to be way better. CG is going to be way better than they had back in 1990. What was it, six? We mentioned when the film first came out, or 93. Sorry,
93.
excuse me. That was even further back. Shit, I don't remember. I like I said,
Trying to make me old.
the one I saw, like I said, was in the movie theater when they rehashed it and they brought it back, because I wasn't really into the series. But when I heard the music, because like if you watch the Emmys or whatever it was, they would have, you know, now and nominated is, blah, 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 blah. And then Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Then you would hear the theme is like, oh, it's like, oh, this is awesome. This is beautiful. It sounds so amazing.
Yep.
I've always loved it. And I'm glad Steven Spielberg is part of it too, because it wouldn't be a show movie without him. I mean, he's freaking
Exactly.
amazing. I like his stuff. I like how he is.
You got to think about all the movies that he has made.
Oh God, where to
There's
start?
so many.
He's getting up there in age. Bless his heart. He was born in 46, if I remember. So if I do math, that's 74.
74 or 75 this year.
Yeah, he will be 75 this year. Wow.
Yep.
He's done all kinds of movies. I mean, holy crap, E.T.
Still working on it.
And that's a thing too. The production team, the Amblin Entertainment. If you ever watched the logo in the beginning, where the opening, the movie is starting to open up, and it has E.T.
Yes.
as Elliot and E.T. in the background over the moon, which was
Yep.
again another movie that is like
Iconic.
and that scared the shit out of me growing up too. See, hearing about this one, I remember hearing it. Like there's this little ET dude, and I saw the commercial for a trailer. I think it was on YouTube, and he's like ET. I'm like, what the heck is he doing with his finger? Why is his finger lighting up like that?
Yeah.
That's scary. But Steven Spielberg, man, he's done all kinds of stuff. Money Pit, The Goonies. I think he did. Oh, he did Who Framed Roger Rabbit too.
Yeah.
Cape Fear, Back to the Future. Did you ever see that movie? Batteries Not Included. That was a sad little movie. It was kind of weird. You should definitely check it out. It's a weird. It's a sad little movie about a little robot, and it sounds like a build up for Wall-E. Speak of, did you ever see that Bernie that's on
Yes.
Disney? I haven't seen it yet, but it looks like it would be kind of a thing. I never knew. Is that what their names were? Bernie, the little razor dude, and the Wallies, the little cleaners, the ones that did that little robot. They always, every time they made a mess, they would go and clean it, and they would, little Bernies.
I don't know. I just know Wally.
So as a recap, you have Chris Pratt as Owen Grady, Bryce Dallas Howard as Claire, which is really cool. I'm glad they're bringing back some of the old. Sam Neill as Dr. Alan Grant, of course. He's the iconic one that, kind of sniffs out the place. Laura Dern. She's not bad. She doesn't look bad for her age.
I know. It doesn't look like she's really aged that much.
She hasn't. I mean, Sam, if he gets rid of that beard, I should talk, right? Because, when you get in your 30s and then it starts getting gray on here, it's like everybody assumes you're a boomer.
Cactus has had his fair share of grandpa comments.
Let's not go there. Yes, I have, sadly. Danielle Pinata.
Nice 15.
Daishan Lankman. I'm sorry if I destroyed your name. Justice Smith is Frank. Justice Smith, isn't that what's his face's kid? Will Smith's kid?
No, that's
Am I getting the Smiths wrong?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's Jalen or. Oh God, Jaden Smith.
Jaden. Oh. Justice Smith, Omar Sy. He's going to be in a BD Wong. I think BD was in the last one too. Huh? Jake Johnson as Lolly Crothers. I don't know if I remember Weinberger. Mark Weinberger. Is he part? I don't know. Dimon, and then there's DJ. There's a DJ going to be in there too. So it's going to be really cool. It's going to be good. So if it's not the end of it, is it the start of it? Are they doing something that I didn't read about? Are they doing this as a prequel? This is the beginning of the franchise?
Maybe.
Is this going to be like Star Wars where they start
at the end?
Yeah.
Work their way backwards
to the beginning. I mean, that wasn't a bad idea to do, but
I mean, it's something that wasn't thought of before. It was original.
It was original. It was like one of the very first movies, I think, if I recall, for at least a franchise and multiple movies.
Yeah,
it was one of the very first ones to ever do that. Let's instead of going forwards, what if we went backwards and write the story? But see, that gets tricky.
Crap out of everyone.
That gets very tricky. You think about that, how tricky that would be to do, where you covered all these bases. Now you got to go. I got to write a story for this person, backstory. I got to write this backstory. Got to add this to it. Get rid of Jar Jar Binks because he was poopy.
I loved Jar Jar Binks. Okay. I loved him.
Misa don't like him. I mean, how could you like that? I mean, I'm
It
sorry,
was
but
dumb. I loved it.
dumb. It was beyond the word dumb. I think
I
a
will
jelly
agree to
bean,
disagree there.
a jelly bean had more brains than him. I mean, think about it though, buddy. Come on. Like I said, Phantom Menace. He talked after Phantom Menace with the Return of the Sith or Sith. When afterwards, he was mute. He didn't say anything. He nodded, and his big floppy ears. He was hated. Okay, he was hated hardcore. A lot of people.
That's okay. I still liked him.
Misa don't like him. Misa don't like him. There we go. That's kind of like it.
There you go.
It's like it's like a Elmo and I don't know. It just didn't fit the characters. Yeah, Yoda talked, backwards and stuff. Yes, use the force. I did. Yes, yes, Luke. I could see that, but of course, Frank Oz did the voice of that, Jim Henson stuff. But I don't know, it just didn't work for me. Now, for the theaters, just as a recap before we go on our next break here and move into our final segment of the third hour of the show, the Megabyte podcast, the Jurassic World Dominion is scheduled to be released. Now, this is scheduled to be released in movie theaters with Universal Pictures, of course, being the producer of it, or the production distributions, whatever you call it, June 10th, 2022. So just under a year, 9 months,
Yes,
10
sir.
months. It was supposed to be set for this year, June 11th, 2021. But because of the pandemic, of course, a lot of movies and stuff were, put on hold. But it's supposed to be out coming up next year. So that's going to be something to look forward to. I'd look forward to. I'd like to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It
I,
makes me want to sit down and watch all of them
I highly recommend that you do that.
before
Go to Netflix.
jumping into it.
Go to
Is it on
Netflix.
Netflix?
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Hell, if I know. I don't watch Netflix. Now my friend Blondie does, but I'm a hit or miss with it. If somebody says, "Oh, you should watch this" or look through it, or if I just so happen to be over at her cardboard box and I'm just flipping through it as she's feeding her Geritol cats, then I will go through it and briefly go through. Distributed by Universal Pictures, just like it was back in the year 1993. A lot of the new people are, and a lot of old cast. It's kind of a hodgepodge mix of people. Edinburgh will not be in it, of course. Goldblum doesn't seem like he'll be in it. Where did I get Edinburgh? I don't know where I got that from. Jeff Goldblum will not be in it. But I'm sorry, actually he will be in it. Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum will be in it.
I'm thinking Adam Burrow will not be in it because of
Yeah, Adam Burrow is not in it.
Poor him. Nor is Samuel L. Jackson or Wayne Knight, which I'm shocked again, but it happened to him. So he's you didn't say the magic words. You didn't say the magic words. See, that stuck in my head. That was a line that stuck in my head. Any other lines?
I hear you say that all the time.
I do say it,
on
yes.
GTA 5.
I can hear the crickets when like Dubs or anybody else who doesn't, who's a little bit younger than us, say who doesn't know what the hell that is, but I know what it is. You know what it is.
Mm-hmm. Our age is showing.
Our age is showing. Jurassic World, obviously that came out in 2015. Never really got to see it. So if I was you, and I will probably do the same if I will watch these movies in order so I can catch up. And mustard.
Maybe I'll do a Jurassic Park movie marathon on Discord. We can all watch it together.
That's not a half bad baked opportunity to do. You should totally do that. You won't be able to. You would just have to make it like an invite only to people.
Yeah.
And then you can use
a role separate for it.
You could literally use OBS and broadcast it directly through your screen, right? You would be able to do that.
I can do it without OBS.
You could do it without OBS?
Yeah.
Hey.
Just screen share on Discord.
Would you be able to screen share with like a whole bunch of people, or is it limited?
No, if we're all in the same voice chat, I can screen share and everyone can watch my screen.
How many people can be in voice chat?
A bunch.
A bunch. Yeah, there's some stuff I still don't know. Maybe we should make
Well,
that up as a topic next time around. We'll do that
Discord.
on Discord. You know, the ins and outs of Discord.
You might learn something new.
You might definitely learn something new. So let's take our break and we'll get back to the third hour of the podcast here on the Megabyte podcast, and we'll talk about we'll continue on about some films and stuff, but it'll be a whole bunch of films.
We're going from the past into the future.
And that sounds like a good idea to me. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. Alrighty, we are back here live on the Megabyte podcast show. We are in our top hour, our last hour of the show. I am your host with Bunny Fufu, and we're going to be talking about some future stuff.
Yay, future.
Yay, the future. Now, people immediately are going to think, wait a minute. We're going to talk like Back to the Future?
No, not Back to the Future, just a little bit into the future.
I really, really, really wish they would have done another Back to the Future, because, I mean, come on. Doc Brown and come on. So iconic. Again, you know, talk about movies and cartoons and stuff in our, you know, our previous hours here on the show. So let's talk about some of the shows. Let's talk about movies that are coming out as on Netflix and streaming, but also too at the movie theaters themselves. That's coming up in August. We'll go down the list from August down to the end of this year.
Yeah. All right. So the closest one to release, and I swear to God, I'm so tired of seeing commercials for this.
You want to see another one? You want me to run one for you? You want me to link it?
No.
Okay.
On the 5th of August.
Here we go.
We have the Suicide Squad. Now, I don't know why they named it the Suicide Squad.
Ask James Gunn. He's the director.
It confuses me with the last Suicide Squad. Like, why? Why didn't you put a number or add something to make people know it's the second one?
I swear to you, I was thinking the same thing when you said that. I'm like, okay, obviously somebody wasn't thinking upstairs. How could you name something the same thing twice? It doesn't make sense to me.
It makes no sense to me either. But you will be able to watch it on HBO Max. Obviously, it's going to be in theaters. They're bringing back Margot Robbie, Idris Elba. This one's going to have John Cena.
Of all people, right? John Cena, a wrestler. We were talking about that before, like with
John Cena,
Dwayne Johnson and all this stuff, his actors.
And then you've also got names like Joel Kinnaman. Sylvester Stallone is supposed to be in it.
A-lister. Can you imagine Sylvester Stallone in this? I can't believe that.
Like, who's he going to play? And then you've got Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to be in it. And I believe she was in the last one as well.
I think she was.
I believe she was. You got Michael Rooker, which
was
throwing it back to previous episodes. He played in The Walking Dead.
Okay. Yeah.
He played as Merle in The Walking Dead.
The name sounded familiar. I just couldn't remember.
And then you've got Sean Gunn, Peter Capaldi.
Now that is going to be on. Wow. The 5th. You said the 5th. You're right.
The 5th.
Wow. The production company, obviously HBO Max, Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has everything.
Yeah, Warner Brothers and
DC
Films and Atlas Entertainment.
To protect themselves with DC, of course, you have to add them into it because they are the, these are the characters from it, at least some of the characters.
Yep. And then on the 6th of August, you've got
This is one I want to see.
Vivo.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen much about it.
I think you can see it on Netflix. You could see a promo for it. From what I had seen, did you ever see Sing?
Yes.
Okay, this kind of reminds me of that. I think if I'm not getting my
Wait, when
stories
you say
twisted,
Sing, you're talking about the kids movie, right?
the one with the pig and the gorilla, yeah, because there's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a
Okay, yeah.
second one.
There's gonna be a number 2. I cannot wait for that.
I
I've watched the trailer for Sing 2, and it looks good, and I cannot wait.
I saw the poster back when I
Mhm.
went to go see not too long ago when I went to go see a movie in the theater. Second time ever since the pandemic, mind you. It was kind of weird. The first time going in there without a mask, that was even funkier. But yes, it was. I
Mhm.
saw the Sing too. I saw the little koala. It was. I can't wait for that one. Yeah,
I
Vivo
can't either.
is going to have Lin Manuel Miranda in it. A lot of people I haven't heard of too much. Uh,
Zoe Saldana?
well, Gloria
I've heard of
Estefan.
her.
Gee, I wonder who she is. Gloria Estefan. Ho ho ho! She's nobody, right?
Nicole Byer's gonna be in it.
said
That's pretty cool.
said every millennial out there right now, or every Gen Y. Who's Gloria Estefan? Yeah, Vivo is definitely something I want to see personally, and that's coming out on August 6th. So this will be a day after. So this is like literally right around the corner within the next couple weeks.
And Michael Rooker is in both the Suicide Squad and Vivo.
Now it's weird that these come out on Monday and Tuesday. Like
Yeah, a
usually
little bit.
new movies usually pop around Thursday or Friday, if I'm not mistaken. But because 2020 happened,
Yeah.
and you could
You
also
gotta you
watch that
you
on.
gotta think about how 2020 went.
Well, Vivo will be on Netflix too, but I'm sure that will most likely be because it's part of Sony Pictures, and it'll probably most likely in
Mhm.
Columbia
Yep,
Pictures. It'll probably be out in the movie theater too. So I look forward to that.
it's
I will
possible.
go to the movies and see that one. What else do we have coming out on this year? The end of the. I guess you could say this is fourth quarter. It would have to
Probably
be
still third.
late third, going to fourth. I guess every four. I guess it would be right 3 months. So I guess
Yeah, we're
September 9th
technically
or
just
September.
getting ready to go into the second part of the third quarter.
So the fourth quarter. Okay, so if you imagine there are three, 4 quarters in a year. No, is there 4 quarters?
Yes,
Every
4
three
quarters.
months. Yeah, because four
Every 3
times
months
three
is a
is
quarter.
12. Get it right,
Mhm.
Cactus. So it'd be 4 quarters. So then September will be fourth quarter. Gotcha. I'm on the same page as you. That's it.
Are
I'm
you
done.
sure?
Bye. Oh.
Okay, anyway, so the I uh, I haven't seen too much in the way of a couple of these,
Mm-hmm.
like John in the Hole. It's apparently an American drama.
From IFC Films, I've never heard of.
I haven't heard of it. I haven't seen anything about it.
Are there any top listers in it?
Um, for the people who have Netflix, um, if you're into it, I've seen the title on Netflix, but I've never watched it.
Okay.
The Kissing Booth. It stars Joey King,
Joey
and
King.
she played in
No movies. That was
the
it.
Conjuring movie.
Was okay. Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
knew her
she
name
was
sounded
one of
familiar.
the little girls in the Conjuring movie.
Okay.
You've also got Molly Ringwald is playing in it. Um,
She's still around.
yeah, you've got Joel Courtney. Not sure some of these names, but that's the third season.
Jacob Elordi. He looks a lot like Gary Delabonte, Baba Booey from
Yeah,
Howard
that dude.
Stern. He looks like a
Yeah,
young version of him. Of course, now
yeah.
if you were to see the cast of Howard Stern,
Mhm.
you'd probably howl like at the moon. Oh, because they're pretty rough looking. No offense, Howard, and no offense. I love you guys. You guys are super awesome. And as somebody who does voicing and on air like we are, we still love you. We look up to you in a sense.
But yeah,
Um,
this is, I guess, the third movie.
the kissing
I
booth,
thought it was a TV show, but apparently it's a movie.
was it did they make it? Okay, so was it a TV show then went to movie?
I don't know. It says the film is a sequel to The Kissing Booth and The Kissing Booth 2, and this is the third and final installment.
I can't believe Molly Ringwald is. I mean, Jesus, she's got to be
I
up there in
mean,
age. Let's see if she's looking hot or not. Yeah, okay, she's 53. She's way older than me, but okay. I thought she was a okay. She doesn't look too bad.
too bad.
She's, I mean, at least she hasn't done like a lot of celebrities do in her age group, like those golden 50s, or
Yeah.
is it the golden 50s, or but you know how they make themselves look like they want to be 30 again or 20 again, and they get
Mhm.
all that plastic surgery shit done to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Now they start looking like a corpse or a mannequin that talks out of the side of their mouth, or they talk like, "Hi everybody, blah, 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 blah. I just
Exactly.
you know, it's like happened to that person. Go on, though. I'm just throwing it out there. Hmm.
We've got a couple other movies. Um, 20th Century Studios.
Hmm.
We've got Free Guy. It stars Ryan Reynolds,
Ryan Reynolds.
and I'm hoping it's a funny movie because I like him more in funny movies than serious.
It's always, yeah. Ryan Reynolds is always a, you know,
And
yay
then
or nay.
you
Two girls and a guy, two guys and a girl, wasn't it, or something, or two guys, two girls and a. It's like
I
that.
don't know.
I don't know either. One
Um, continue.
the
What were
one
you
movie
saying?
the one movie I look forward to is Respect. Aretha Franklin, the late Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
This looks like it's going to be good. If it's a documentary about her life, because if you think about like all the, I don't know if did you see the Queen movie?
I have not. I want to watch
Oh,
it, but I have not seen it yet.
you know what's so funny is the Brian May, the guitars, infamous guitars, and Roger Deacon, no, Roger shit, what's his name? Roger, the drummer, he Roger Taylor, he said they both said it looked so amazing. Like the sets and stuff they used was so realistic, it brought tears to their eyes of how realistic it was, and it brought them back. And I know Brian May, when he does some songs that were Freddie Mercury's, he always tears up when he's on stage and stuff. And the reason why I bring this up because it was a documentary based basically on them, reenactments of them, just like with Ray Charles. If you saw that movie, that was really good too. It was kind of scary if he really was as bad as it portrayed him as evil as he was to ladies and stuff. So I'm hoping this is a good. I look forward to this one. This is not too
I
far down the road either.
That comes out on the 13th of August. I mean, if you look at the lineup of stars in it, Jennifer Hudson, Forrest Whitaker, you got Marlon Wayans,
You got a lot of like good celebrities in this one.
Titus Burgess, Mary J. Blige is in it.
And now
That's a really good lineup for a movie.
that's a decent lineup. I definitely want to see this movie. This is the 13th. I want to see this. This looks
Yes.
like it will be really good to see.
Another one that comes out on the 13th of August. I don't know if you've seen the first one, but they are bringing out Don't Breathe 2. Now it's a Screen Gems, Stage 6 Films, and Ghost House Pictures. It
Now,
is supposed to be a horror movie.
that sounds scary as hell. Just that build up right there you just did. That scared the hell out of me.
It is an American action horror thriller. And the main character, who is played by Stephen Lang,
Hmm.
is blind.
Really?
Yeah, in the first one, these people break into his house, and being blind, his hearing's elevated.
Right.
So they have to try and stay super quiet because I believe they're trying to rob him. And he hears them, and I haven't seen the first one, but I want to. And I want to see the second one because if you look at the movie poster,
Hmm.
it's the blind guy holding a hammer looking through a broken window.
Now, see, that is creepy. So,
It's really
okay.
creepy.
So, if I'm reading you right, the okay. So he's blind and
Yes.
he's the one who's going around killing people? Is that what you're saying to me?
Well, these people break into his house. He's protecting his own.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
He's protecting the homestead.
Gotcha. Well, that's creepy as hell. Has there been a trailer for that one yet? See, here's the thing.
I believe there has.
The list we're mentioning to you is a list of some of the movies I have not seen trailers of. I haven't seen any of these trailers, but that'll be interesting to see. And again, that's just around the corner. That's just like in a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, because you figure this is the end of this month, basically. So that would be. Do you do you know what next month brings?
Um, Depends on what
August
you're talking.
13th is Friday the 13th.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Well, we got some good movies coming out on the 13th.
That's yeah, Don't Breathe, and there's another one that's coming out too. It's called Coda. Deaf
See,
adults
I
and stuff.
haven't heard about that,
I haven't heard or
but
seen anything about it.
that one's gonna be Apple TV Plus. So unless you have Apple TV, you can't really watch it.
You notice how everything is plus. Paramount is plus. Disney is plus. I'm surprised.
Discovery Plus.
I'm surprised there isn't a Netflix Plus. Give it time. As
Uh,
recording to date,
don't say that. It's gonna cost more.
it's 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 gonna come out. Watch. We'll have a Netflix Plus that will have. Is there ads on Netflix?
No.
Okay, so
Don't
then
jinx it, Cactus. Please don't jinx it.
I will throw that right in the can right there. I'll just throw that key
Yeah.
right into the can.
Drop it at the bottom of the lake. We'll be
Throw,
good.
Lake Placid, please.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, great. Now for those who have smaller children, Paw Patrol, that's coming out. Obviously, you'll
On
probably.
the 20th of August.
I again, since I don't have any myself personally, but I could see this one being something that you probably would see.
I
I have family that probably would go see it.
I probably would take Zoe to go see it because she is obsessed with Paw Patrol. For her birthday this year, she got 2 out of the Paw Patrol characters from Build-A-Bear. That
Build
was
a
an expensive
Bear.
that was an
Holy
expensive
hell!
birthday.
I haven't heard about Build a Bear in so long. It immediately brings a flashback where I had built a bear for an ex girlfriend, and it was expensive then too. It was
Yeah.
like, muy wow, like I
But I mean, if you think about it, it's worth it because you're actually getting the experience
is
of
it though?
build.
Okay, I could see if like for your family and stuff. Yeah, I could see that. Totally do that.
She still has them. It's been 6 months.
If you were
Yes, it's worth it.
if you think about it, if you go there with family, you're making those memorable moments that you'll never forget, right? But when you're doing it for an adult girlfriend and she doesn't give two shits about it after you guys break up and
Yeah,
says, "Here's the
that's a
bear
whole
back."
different story.
Yeah, she throws it back at your face. You're spent X amount of money onto this damn thing. Yeah, it makes you sad.
Yeah,
Now here's another movie too. I bet you are probably gonna watch The Night House.
I am
Now,
I'm a lover of all things horror or thriller, and psychological horror
that's what, yeah.
has it my way.
Psychological horror versus like it's hack and slash. If it can mentally mess with your mind,
If it makes me think,
right.
like if it gives me that I have to think hard and intellectually,
Hmm.
hell yes.
That one is coming out on the 20th of August. So again, that's right around. That's just about 3 weeks away. If you stop and
We
think about it.
have Rebecca Hall,
Hmm.
Sarah Goldberg, Evan, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he played Bone Tomahawk, or in Bone Tomahawk, Easy, X-Men Days of Future's Past, and he stars as Captain Chesterfield in Discovery Canada's Frontier for our Canadian listeners.
Eh?
Then you got Stacey Martin and Vondi Curtis Hall.
You know who the godfather of psychological stuff is, right? Obviously, you should know.
Steven Spielberg.
Think even later. Think 40s. Think towards silent pictures. Think of the, I'll give you the biggest hint. You should immediately hear it. Good evening.
Cactus.
Psycho?
I don't know
Oh no.
names that well, Cactus. We've
S-
talked about
The
this.
the Birds. He did all these movies. Psycho, The Birds, Bates
Names.
Motel,
I know who you're talking about.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Thank you. I could not remember his name.
That's okay. But you knew what
Okay.
you knew
I
who
knew
it,
what you were talking about.
exactly, and that's all that matters. And
Another one that I'm looking forward to on the 20th
uh-oh.
is, now this might not be anybody else's cup of tea, but
Here we go.
it's a science fiction horror film, and it's called Demonic.
Who
I'm
are
sorry.
you? You
I
seem so
like my horror
you
movies.
seem so fluffy and innocent as a bunny, and then here you are with this dark and very deep secrets of loving psychotic thriller shit. Like, who are you?
I like a lot of true crime too.
I can't do that shit. See, now my friend Blondie, she Dexter, she loves all
I
that
was,
shit. I
I was
can't.
so sad when they took Dexter off of
It's
Netflix.
coming back. I mean,
I
Dexter
know,
itself is coming back.
I know.
I can't do any of that
They took
shit.
it off Netflix.
I just it just to me I'd rather deal with the after, like throw them in the ground 6 feet under. I'll talk to the spirits if they're left around. I can't do the true crime, the horror shit like that. It just makes it too hard on my brain to compute. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't like gore like that. I'm not a.
Like I said, it's not everyone's cup of tea,
It
but
isn't. No, that's true.
it is mine.
But that's good. That's what makes you unique. Because the way I always say it, could you imagine the world as we have right now? What if we were all carbon copies? You like the exact same things I liked. I like the exact same things you liked. So basically, it'd be a no-brainer. You liked hamburgers that are well done with pickles only. I would like well done hamburgers with pickles only. How boring would life be if we were all like robots? Like we were put into a factory, like a Hershey Kisses factory. We're all just on this assembly line being put together. We all have the same traits. That would be the most boringest life ever. I swear to God.
Yeah, it
We'd
would.
we'd all know our pain, our pleasure. We know we'd all write the same. So that's what makes us different, and that's what makes us unique. So that's what I like about that. It's a yin and yang situation, and that's what makes good friendships is people that you can actually relate with, but also to have some conflictions of different things that you like. You like the psychotic shit. I like the stuff. It's more tame.
Well, when you put it like that, Cactus. Well,
Who's in
since
that
you
one?
wanna in that one you have Carly Pope. She's a Canadian actress. She played in Suits.
A.
She played in Arrow on the CW.
She does sound familiar. Yeah, she looks familiar too. If I remember, if I
Um,
can mentally image her what she looks like.
we also got Chris William Martin, who is another Canadian actor. He played in Felicity and the L Word.
Mm.
Michael Rogers, another Canadian actor. I'm guessing this is a Canadian film. Um, Michael John Rogers played as Quan Chi in the Mortal Kombat Legacy series. And then you got
Mortal Kombat.
Terry Chen, Canadian film and television actor, and Natalie Bolt. She's a South African actress. She played in soap operas. She's also she played for anyone who has watched Riverdale. She plays Penelope Blossom, which I've actually seen that show, so I know who that is.
I don't know if I've ever seen that show.
I have. I've watched pretty much all of it,
Hmm.
but she plays in quite a few things.
Oh.
She played in the movie District 9.
District. Okay. Okay. Now, if you say his name 3 times in a mirror, he comes out.
We have another Candyman movie coming.
A Candyman. Now,
That falls right in line with the rest of it.
Now, as you and I were talking about off the air, we were discussing this. I was telling you how I could play pretty much verbatim the theme or opening theme of that song, the piano part. And it's kind of creepy. It has that horror, weird, like carnival twisty kind of music into it. I like that stuff. I like that kind of music to it. But yes, another Candyman. Now, the original Candyman came out, that was in the 90s, was it not?
Yeah.
That came out?
That came out in the 90s.
1992.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It came out before I was born.
So why is it now suddenly we are getting new movies from back in the day? Like that 92. So if you figure 92, that's 40 years ago, right? Wait, no, 30 years ago.
No.
Oh, whoa,
Not
shit.
almost 40, Cactus.
32 years. Okay, so about 30 years. Okay.
Just under 30 years.
Okay. Under 30 years. But you know what I mean. So you figure, why the hell would you wait damn near 30 years later to come out with a new sequel to a movie that probably didn't do that well in the movies? I could double check just for shiggles and gets. Just, excuse me. The one that came out in 1992. It was, okay, so it wasn't too bad. Box office, well, production, it cost $8 to $9 million. So $8 to $9 million. Box office take after the end of the day, 25.8 million. So it wasn't a home run, but at least you made 3 times what you put into the production. So that's
exactly.
I mean, I'll take that any day. Even 2 times over would have been good, but 3 times is even 3 times the charm is even better. So that took in 25 million. So give or take, if it costs about 8 million, you still made 25 million. You're still plus 1.1 over the 3 times over. So you're about 3.1 over. Not bad. I'll take it. But yeah, Candyman was a scary thing. I saw that and I remember hearing it.
It's
the music
is this name is a newer name to the film industry, but he's done great movies so far. Jordan Peele. He did the movie Get Out, which was a horror movie. And he's done maybe another couple movies, but they've been really good hits. So I'm excited to see what he does with this movie. Obviously, you're getting Tony Todd back. You can't have Candyman without Tony Todd. Because he was the original Candyman.
Yeah, and I'm glad they brought him back in.
I am too.
Because when like I said, when I saw the movie, not only did the music haunt my dreams for like 2 days, but the character himself, the way he's portrayed, he has the hook in his hand, or his hand is a hook, plus the bees, these
Yeah.
gigantic ass bees that come pouring out of his mouth and that are hanging around him. And I absolutely just don't do anything with bees. I can't stand them. Might have done the movie Us too, John Peel.
Jordan Peele? Yeah, I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
He before he got into doing production and screenplays and stuff, he was a comedy actor. I know him from
He
Keel and Peele
okay. Well,
on
man.
Comedy Central. He he is a great comedy actor, but he wanted to branch out and do something else.
Oof.
And he got into screenplays and writing and filmmaking, and he's got that creative mind that brings a new twist to horror movies, and I love it. It's great. I
Mm-mm-mm.
love those breakout moments when you are so good at one thing and you do something else and you do amazing with it.
Now, for a movie like that, it was very short. A lot of people don't think how often or how long a movie is to be filmed. Just to throw it out there, the principal photography, the starting off with, we go to a place, we start filming here. It started in early August of 2019, and it was done in September, like late September 25th through the 27th of September. So just under a month, or just a little over a month of filming, and that was it. Some movies take, like we were talking about last hour in the Megabyte podcast, we were talking about Jurassic Park. That took over 100 days, but because of pandemic, that's what
That's
caused
what
that.
made it 100
But
days.
there's some films I could see the actors and actresses out there, jumping from one movie to another movie. I mean, you could have, say, as an example, A-lister like Will Smith do Joe Schmo's barbershop, and then, you see in the same year he's in the apple that fell off the tree, so he's in two different movies, but in the same year. So I could see that.
Yeah.
That's going to be a creepy one, though. Do I really want to see that alone? Do I really want to see Candyman? I mean,
Yes, you do. There's your answer. Okay, so moving out of the horror thriller category, the 27th is when Candyman comes out.
August
Also on the
27th.
27th of August, you have, and I've seen trailers for this and it looks hilarious. You have Vacation Friends, and that's going to come out on Hulu, and it's a 20th Century Studio production.
I think I saw a trailer for this. If I'm not mistaken, I swore I saw a trailer for this. I could be wrong.
I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that John Cena was in it, I was like, really? But it looks hilarious.
He's in a
John
lot of stuff.
Cena, he's starting to really get into films more
He's becoming
now.
a Dwayne
Oh,
Johnson.
yeah, exactly. But it's got John Cena, Little Ray Howery.
Mm-hmm.
He's an American actor and comedian. Yvonne Orjai. She's a Nigerian American actress and comedian. And then you got Meredith Hagner,
Mm-hmm.
who is an American actress, and she was a soap actress.
This looks to be funny. This looks to be. I see. I like a good comedy. You are liking the horror side of the world.
I like a good comedy too.
Okay.
I'm not all dark.
I never said you were, but you did. I didn't. But okay.
I like
Okay.
my comedies too. I like to giggle.
I did too.
So this one is pretty much this couple goes to I'm not sure exactly where, but they go and they're on vacation before they get married,
Okay.
and they meet John Cena and his girlfriend or wife or whatever at the place they're vacationing at. And then they have the one couple has their wedding and their vacation friends show up. And the couple that goes on vacation, they're nothing like they were on vacation. They're down to earth, pretty normal people, but they were on vacation, so they were going crazy, letting loose, being wild and stuff,
Why
and
not? You
causing
know.
shenanigans. So their friends come and like crash their after party
See,
of their wedding or engagement party or whatever,
so
and
when
it looks like fun.
it does, and it'd be something I'll probably check out. That's on August 27th. Again on Hulu, 20th Century Studios. I wonder if is it going straight to there, or do you think it will be? Do you think maybe they'll be on?
I'm not 100% sure, but another film that's supposed to be a comedy that's coming out on the 27th, and this is like a throwback, but it's a gender swap.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Do you?
I think. Go on.
It's called He's All That.
Oh
Now,
boy,
if you think back to the 90s, She's
she's
All
all
That
that.
was Amanda Bynes, and you know, she was trying to, fit in and
Wasn't Freddie Prince Jr. in that one?
um
And she's all that. I'm pretty. And you said Amanda Bynes, was it?
I, no, different movie. But
She's all that. That was from
Freddie Prinze
1990.
Jr. is in She's All That. It was in 99.
Okay.
It was Rachel Lee Cook.
Okay. Gotcha.
Paul Walker was also in it, and Matthew Lillard is in She's All That. But,
I do remember that. I remember seeing. Yeah. I. It was so now this one is he's all that. What is this?
uh-huh.
Basically, is coming
It's
out.
practically the same, but it's a gender swap. It's,
So
you
about instead
know,
of prom queen, it's prom king and
uh-huh.
stuff like that. Okay. I
The main female, who's played by Addison Rae, she accepts a challenge to turn the school's least popular boy into the prom king,
mm-mm-mm.
attempting to avenge herself after a horrible and humiliating breakup with her boyfriend.
What wasn't it like she's all that? Wasn't it about a prom queen and he had like so many months or so many weeks or something to turn her into a just an A-list kind of a prom queen. She was kind of the nerd or whatever it was, or she,
He
that was the original
he was
premise. So
he
she's
was
all that.
the big man on campus, at high school,
Right,
popular.
right.
He had a girlfriend who ditched him
Okay,
for a reality TV star,
that's okay. That's
which
where it
is
twists. Okay,
Matthew Lillard, and pretty much he he makes a bet with his friend that he could turn any random girl into a prom queen within like 6 weeks,
okay.
and he tries to befriend this chick, and you know it doesn't work, and then you know
Have you ever done it before? Have you ever tried to hook up a friend of yours with a person? Like say like, oh, I
nope,
gotta hook you up with this person.
nope, I don't interfere. That's all on you.
You
I'll
you
be there to support you when things go sour, but I'm not doing
or
the work for you.
or to throw the "I told you so" episode into it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I've had people. I've tried it. I've tried it. Here's a weird thing. Weird fact. I try to hook up a person. We'll say Amy and we'll say Billy Bob. Try to hook them up, and it ends up Amy starts liking me instead of Billy Bob. I'm like, wait a minute. And then things went my way. Billy Bob went on the highway. I don't know. That's just my. So that he's all that. That comes out on the 27th. And then we have like some of the things like a superhero one that's coming out. This is in September, if I'm not mistaken, September 3rd. Shanghai and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, that's a lot of words in a movie.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, please. Or is it Shang-Chi? Is it she or Shai? She. Anyways, the director is Destin Daniel Cretton. I've heard of him before. He's done stuff. He's a screenwriter, producer, Short Term, The Glass Castle, Just Mercy. It's going to be screenplays by the producer David Alias Callahan. I've heard of his name. I can't. Simon Liu, Aquafina. Now, Aquafina was just in a recent movie. She was the God, what movie was that? I just saw her in. I would have to look. She was in a movie I would just watched. It was the last Raya and the Last Dragon. That's what it was. That was a
Raya?
good movie. If you haven't seen that one, I
I
suggest
have
you see
not
it.
seen it yet.
It's I think it's Raya. If I mispronounce it,
Yes.
it's on you, not me. That was a really good movie, and that's where she's at. So that comes out. With who else is it? Bala Chen. I've heard of her too. She was in some other dramas. Um, Goodness gracious. Now that's kind of for those who like martial arts, people who like these superhero things. I'm not. I mean, Superman wasn't into. It's kind of no for me. I was into more. Batman was good and stuff like that, but uh, it's based on the character of Shang-Chi. So that's a Marvel Comics and Walt Disney Studios and Motion Pictures. So basically, he's forced to confront his past he thought he had left behind. So there's not much info on that one, but that'll be coming out on the 3rd of September.
Yes. Another one that's coming out on the 3rd of September for any Disney fans. They are doing another Cinderella movie.
Wait a
It's
minute, wait a
supposed to
minute, wait a minute.
be,
Another Cinderella.
yes, another Cinderella.
Did we not learn from past mistakes about okay, the animation was bueno, was good. Then the Cinderella that came with I forgot who it was, but that was a flop. Now they're making a third.
See, this one is a live action, and it's a romantic musical comedy.
Okay.
It's a modern take from the traditional tale and follows Cinderella, who lives with her not so evil stepmother and stepsisters.
Not so evil.
Yeah,
Dubs.
they're
Go on.
making it they're making it more modern. You have Camila Cabello, and I probably just butchered her name.
It's okay.
She's a Cuban-born singer and songwriter,
Okay.
and she stars as Cinderella. And then you have Billy Porter as a Fab G, a genderless fairy godparent.
He's a singer, isn't he? I think I've heard of his name.
American actor, singer, and style icon. And then you have Idina Menzel as Cinderella's stepmother. Now, if you think that name sounds familiar, it's because she is the voice of Elsa in the Frozen movies. She's a singer, songwriter, and actress.
Okay.
And then you also have Pierce Brosnan is going to be in it.
Pierce Bronson?
Pierce Brosnan. Yep, he's going to play King Rowan. You've got James Corden.
I do say. Sorry, I had to throw it out there.
He is playing as James, a footman or mouse.
Well,
You've got Missy Elliott. She's playing as the town crier. You've got um, Mary Higgins, Beverly Knight, Fra Fee, Francis Martin Fee, Tallulah Grieve. So you got quite a few big names as well as not as many big names. But that is scheduled to be released on Amazon Prime Video on the 3rd of September.
September 3rd. Okay. Okay. I could totally see that coming out. The Gateway comes out. It's something that you'd probably like. Crime thriller. I'm not, again, I can't relate to any of that. I know you can.
I will probably more than likely check that out.
Michelle Chavetta, she is the director of this movie. This comes out coming soon on the Shia, let's see, Franklin Shia William Jr. or Shia just Wingham. He'll be in it. Olivia Munn. Now,
That name sounds familiar.
yeah, she's the Gaming Network. That's where she came from. Is she right? The Gaming Network, I think
She's
is
an actress and a former television host.
Bruce
And yes,
Dern
the
looks a lot like Doc Brown. He looks a lot like Christopher
a little
Lloyd.
bit, yeah.
I could see it, you know.
Now, is he related to um
Wow, he's 85 years old.
Laura Dern from um the Jurassic Park movies?
That is his child, yes. Or he's the father, yeah. She is the Laura Dern is the your good call, because we were just talking about Jurassic Park last hour, and we mentioned about
Yes.
how Laura Dern is in the upcoming one, Dominion. And yes, that is his child. That's one of the two he's had. Good
Awesome.
on you. That's very good.
But I will probably end up giving The Gateway a watch because it's an American crime thriller and I love my crime thrillers. And another one that I'll probably check out
Now,
that comes out the same day
mhm.
is We Need to Do Something.
What are we going to do? Oh, we're going to watch that movie
It's an American psychological horror film.
again with the psychological. Now that's what the second one now we've discussed
Yes.
and talked about.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, it's directed by Sean King O'Grady and it stars Vanessa, Vanessa Shaw. She played in She began as a child actress. She played in '93's Hocus Pocus, which I love that movie.
Oh,
I
now
love that.
Hocus Pocus had. Ugh. Okay, I remember it very well, and it usually, you know, what's funny is here in my area, that movie pops up a lot during October,
Yes.
during the
Oh,
Halloween
yes.
era.
It had Betty Midler,
Bette
Sarah Jessica
Midler. Oh,
Parker, Kathy Najimy,
yeah, Bette
and
Midler just totally just undid it for me, man. That's she was not the wind beneath my wings. It was rough.
yeah. Now, the chick that plays in this movie, Vanessa Shaw, she played as Max's crush and classmate Allison in Hocus Pocus.
Okay.
She was the cute little blonde girl. And then you have Sierra McCormick. She, oh my gosh, she played Lilith in the TV show Supernatural,
Well, there's
which
some big people.
I've watched a lot of Supernatural. And you got Pat Healy.
Okay.
He is an American film and television actor, best known for his leading roles in Great World of Sound, Compliance, The Innkeeper, and Cheap Thrills.
Cheap
His
thrills.
He directed his first feature film, Take Me, in 2017.
Hmm. Okay. See, that's all you when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah,
That's just that's just not for me. I don't
yeah.
know.
I'm looking forward to September.
Now so far just from the short stuff we've talked about, man. There's some good movies that are coming out, and it's a mix of good movies where if you don't like the horrors, there's comedies. If you don't like comedies or horrors, there's superhero. And then
Yes.
there's, the course there was we were talking about Aretha Franklin, so there's one for a documentary. So far it's coming out pretty good. Now, without even looking, reading, thinking, Queen Pins, is that a flip from Kingpins?
I want to say yes,
My
but
girl's in
I'm
that movie,
not
by the way.
sure.
Oh my goodness. Paul Walter
There's
Hawks.
not there's not much going on with like, you know, plot right now.
Mm-hmm.
All that I know is that two housewives create a $40 million coupon scam.
I'm
And that
telling you,
is Kristen Bell,
my girl. Woof.
Kirby Howell
Jesus.
Baptiste,
She is just looking so fine.
BB Rexa, Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller is an executive producer.
Jeez.
So you got some big names in there too.
It seems like a lot of times, if you ever noticed in films in general, or even on TV production, the executive producers or anybody like a producer is always in the movie. Like it's like stars Joe Schmoes as the producer, but also too he's this actor and
Yeah.
Adam in this movie. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you produce it, why not be part of it? Not only behind the scene, behind the camera, but also in front of the camera. At least that's what I would do. I like being I like working behind the camera, but I also like working in front of the camera. I do.
Yeah.
I've always had this bug. I've always had it where talking behind a mic or working in film or working behind the scenes and stuff. I've always loved it. I don't know why. I've always done it.
They got quite a few movies in my categories coming out.
They do.
Because the 10th of September, they have 3 more horror or action thrillers or crime dramas coming out.
The Eyes
But
of Tammy Faye. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Clifford the Big Red Dog. We mentioned that last hour in
yes,
regards
that will be
to.
coming out on the 17th for anybody who did not know.
I don't know about the Tammy Faye Baker stuff. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
I'm just okay. What I'm looking forward to before we wrap up today, because today just went by super quick.
It feels like it really did.
Hotel Transylvania Transformania. Now, I'm not a big fan of we've talked about this before with Adam Sandler. I think it's him. It's in it, correct? He's the father.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not a fan of him at all. But it's a hell of fun. I mean, I saw the last two. I saw the vacation one, where the hotel or the cruise one. I saw that one. The second one, I guess it was. It
I
it
don't
was good.
see in the list of cast, I did
He
not see.
he doesn't look like he's in it, is he?
It does not. He's not. Brian
Brian
Hall
Hall.
is replacing Adam Sandler
He's an
as
impressionist too,
Dracula.
so he does voicing that impersonates other people. So maybe he
Andy
sounds like Adam
Samberg.
Sandler.
Andy Samberg, very funny actor.
Selena Gomez is going to be in it too, I believe, right? Steve Buscemi.
She plays as Mavis.
She's
Steve Buscemi is a werewolf.
she's played several times. She's been in the series, so
So we also got David Spade, which I know you're not too big of a fan of.
correct.
Keegan Michael Key, the other half of Keel and Peele.
Try to say that backwards. Mm-hmm.
He is the Mummy. You got Molly Shannon. She plays Wanda the werewolf. Mr. Steve Buscemi's wife in the movie.
See, this is going to be good because that will set my mood for October. Because
yes, that's a good start.
I do love October's. I do love that time of the year because of the the spookiness of it, but also too, it's the bad thing about it is it gets cold, and we mentioned that before. At least I did before off the air with you. We were talking about we get winter, we get as cold, super cold in October, or it could be warm, but ugh. I don't know, but that looks good. I cannot wait for that one, and it's kind of weird.
Another one that fits the younger category, and it's all the way to December, is Sing 2.
December 22nd, man. That seems so far away.
I know, but if you think about it, it's really not.
Have you noticed?
It'll go by quick.
I don't. Time. Just keep going the same pace you're going now. Don't snap your fingers and it's December, okay? I don't want winter. I don't want snow yet. Real fast, if you see the poster of Sing 2, the silhouette of the character, the mouse, does that not look like Mickey Mouse? I'm very shocked that they're able to do that because Disney just has to own everything. But I don't know. For some reason, it's the same day too. The Matrix 4 pops out.
Yeah.
And the King's Man. So you got 3 heavy titles coming out on the 26th of December, which is coming up.
The 22nd of December.
Yes. And then
the 26th.
22nd of December.
Yes.
Speak of, we are out of time today for the podcast, but I appreciate it. This has been a good one today. This is great stuff. I can't wait to.
And quite a few good topics.
It is indeed. I'm your co-host, Squeamish Cactus, alongside with Bunny. Until next week, we will see you then, guys. Take care.